The Cubs are back in familiar ground to tangle with their division rivals. But are they ready for Adam's dragnet? Dun, 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 dun. Next.
It's time for baseball from the banks of the Ohio River. And friends, are you ready for a little home run style baseball for the Great American Ballpark, one of the game's friendliest home run havens? Tonight, the Cubs hope to play long ball as they open up a critical 4-game Central Division series with the Cincinnati Reds. The Cubs are in first, the Reds just 3 games back, and all the fun starts tonight here on Fox Sports Net Chicago. Hello again, everybody, along with Steve Stone, Chip Carey. Welcome back to the ballpark. Cubs are 3-3 so far on this road trip, but Stoney, a very important series against the Cincinnati Reds, a young, slugging ball club that's given the Cubs all they can handle so far this year.
Well, now 2 series in a row, the Cubs are going to face offensive machines, and Cincinnati is just that. They don't try to finesse you, they try to hammer you, and they'll try to do it again tonight, and they do it, Chip, with some pretty young hitters, but very talented hitters.
Adam Dunn and Austin Kearns are public enemies numbers 1 and 2. The 2 young sluggers, very impressive.
Adam Dunn is now hitting leadoff, and he's hit 22 home runs, not your prototypical leadoff hitter, especially on pace for an all-time Cincinnati record. And Austin Kearns in the middle of this lineup is as good as any right-hander in the league. So he's tough to get out, and of course, Chip, the 2 old guys are in the middle, and if you let them on base, then you have real problems.
I was going to say, as tough as it is to get Dunn and Kearns out, you got to worry about the longtime Cub killer, Barry Larkin, just back off the disabled list. Ken Griffey Jr. is back, too. The last time we saw Griffey, he dislocated his shoulder against the Cubs here.
Well, Griffey's hasn't had much luck against the Cubs, but conversely, Barry Larkin has. You take a look at the lifetime average. Griffey has really struggled against the Cubs, but right now he's having some trouble catching up to the fastball. We'll see if that holds true. The one thing you worry about, Chip, is that Matt Clement has really struggled lifetime against Cincinnati.
He's given up a lot of home runs. They do have left-handed thunder in their lineup, and even more distressing for the Cubs, guess who's pitching for Cincinnati? It's Cy Koufax. Jimmy Anderson, back up from the minor leagues, is facing the Cubs. He's 4-1 against them lifetime.
Last time he beat the Cubs, he was released 10 days later and sent down to the minor leagues. Now, nobody wanted him around baseball, so he went down to the minor leagues. He went 6-1. He's come back because he has a chance to face the Cubs. And lifetime, he's a .333 pitcher, but against the Cubs, he's a Hall of Famer. We'll see tonight, Chip. This is a guy that doesn't throw any breaking balls. He throws all fastballs. It's surprising the Cubs haven't done better against him.
And frankly, it's surprising Cincinnati's only 3 games back. They have a terrible defense. They have the worst pitching staff in the National League, but with that offense, they're only 3 games back, and you know how well they hit the baseball here at the Great American Ballpark. Hopefully the Cubs bats can come to life too. Again, a 3-3 road trip. Cubs are in first place, and coming up, it's game 1 of the 4-game set with the Central Division rivals from the Queen City of Cincinnati. Starting lineups come your way next.
Fox Sports Net's coverage of Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Aflac. Ask about it at work. Chevy. Test drive a new Chevy car or truck today at your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer. Comcast. Proud to be Chicagoland's new cable company. Heineken. It's all about the beer. Heineken. Walgreens. The pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. Geico Direct. A 15-minute phone call could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey. Nobody makes whiskey like Jack Daniel's. Pennzoil. Protection for the way you drive. Pennzoil. We're driving protection. Your local area Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Mike's Hard Lemonade. A hard Mike's is good to find. And by Southwest Airlines. More than 2,700 nonstop daily flights to 59 destinations all across the country.
Rejuvenate your 75,000-mile engine with Pennzoil high-mileage vehicle. The motor oil specially formulated for the needs of your older, wiser vehicle. Pennzoil, we're driving protection.
Get a $7 rebate on a signature service oil change with Pennzoil synthetic or high-mileage vehicle motor oils.
Counting down.
Measuring traffic congestion.
Here we go.
Tickets for the Red Boys now on sale. Call now. Pick up the phone. Call now.
One concert could generate hundreds of thousands of calls in an instant. At SBC, if we can handle hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes, we can handle the Rad Boys. Ready for anything.
Hello? Any more tickets?
SBC.
The Hyundai Sonata, ranked most appealing entry midsize car. More standard features than a Toyota Camry LE, including a V6 engine. All for over $2,100 less. Add in America's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles, and you win. Test drive the Hyundai Sonata, starting at just $15,839 at your Hyundai dealer. Hurry in and get a 2003 Sonata with $1,000 cash back or 0% APR through June 30th.
It's an absolutely gorgeous night here in Cincinnati, Ohio, on the banks of the Ohio River. It's the Cubs and the Reds, our second series here at the Great American Ballpark, and it's a most aptly named baseball-only facility, Steve. They've done a wonderful job here, and boy, the hitters sure love to play in this place.
This is an offensive park. It was the last time we were here. It's a little warmer now, Chip, and this is a launching pad, and hopefully the Cub offense will be equal to the task.
Mark Grunzelanek is going to lead things off. We'll show you quickly the Cubs starting lineup tonight for Dusty Baker, Grunzelanek, Martinez, and Corey Patterson. Alou, Karros, and O'Leary, the middle of the attack. Alex Gonzalez, Damian Miller, and Matt Clement, of course, back in the National League. The pitchers have the privilege of swinging the stick against Jimmy Anderson here tonight. A longtime Cub nemesis, Anderson was designated for assignment after beating the Cubs in Chicago. He's 4-1 against the Cubs in his career, went 6-1 down at Louisville.
What's somewhat surprising is this is a guy that throws almost all fastballs. He'll try to sink it away from the right-handers. Normally, you've got to hit the ball to right and right center field, otherwise you ground to the left side.
Ground ball to the right side this time. Castro gives some ground, and Grunzelanek is a quick out here in the top half of our first inning.
Last time we saw them, we saw Brandon Larson at third base. We saw Boone at second base. Now we're seeing Boone at third, his natural position, and Castro has taken over at second, and he's done a terrific job.
Here's Ramon Martinez playing third base tonight, batting in the number 2 spot of the order. Ramon hitting .277, 3 home runs and 17 batted in, coming off a 2-hit performance in Toronto yesterday. The other teams chasing the Cubs in the division also lost yesterday, so the Cubs enter play today. 1 game in front in the National League Central, ahead of Houston, 2 ahead of the Cardinals, 3 ahead of Cincinnati. And St. Louis is in Milwaukee later on tonight.
It's 328 down the left field line. It's 379 to the power alley in left field, and that's where the ball really jumps.
Popped up right side. Sean Casey will give chase and has no play. It's into a very big crowd here tonight. It's drawing a little bit better as time goes on. Again, they're only 3 games out. School's starting to finish up for the spring and summer, and more kids coming out to see the Reds play here in their new park.
And there you look at the numbers on Jimmy Anderson, and they're not too impressive, but throw them all out, including opponent's batting average at .371. When he faces the Cubs, he's as good as anybody.
He's 3 over lifetime against the Cubs. He's 21 under against the rest of baseball.
And they told us that he rediscovered that sinker at AAA. And if that's the case, you'll be seeing a lot of ground balls here tonight.
There's another one to third. Boone charged it a little too late. And Martinez aboard here in our first inning. Let's see how that scored.
Got to be charged in air, and I think that Aaron Boone would be the first to tell you that he should have made that play. This is a real good third baseman who probably will be charged with error number 8. He comes in, you get to pick your own hop, and on the short hop, it's a relatively easy play. He's very frustrated with himself, And bear in mind, he's making the conversion back from a second baseman to a third baseman, which is his natural position, and it does go E5.
Funny too, in the game rained out yesterday between the Reds and the Phillies, Boone was in the lineup as the shortstop, so he's played just about everywhere on the infield for the Reds. So the door open for Corey Patterson now, a man at first, and he's had no luck at all against Anderson. Lifetime 0 for 8.
Well, I think it's a different Corey Patterson that he's going to see tonight. This is a guy with growing confidence on a daily basis, and he can hit the 370 mark in right center field very easily.
1 ball, no strikes. A high hopper over the mound. Anderson's going to have only one play, and he beats Patterson by a step. Martinez to second with 2 outs for Moises Alou.
Let's take a look at the Reds defense and how they line up behind Jimmy Anderson. It's Dunn, Griffey, and Kearns left to right, with Boone, Larkin, Castro, and Casey in the infield. A resurgent Jason LaRue behind the plate, and Jimmy Anderson on the hill. We say resurgent because last year LaRue had 20 pass balls. Now granted, 8 of them were with Jared Fernandez, the knuckleballer, but still that's an inordinate number of pass balls. He has 2 this year.
Much more impressive performance behind the plate for LaRue. And overall, the Cincinnati defense needs to improve. Dead last in the National League defensively. They've committed 68 errors. In fact, for the Reds this year, Steve, their longest errorless streak is 3 games.
Well,
Tough to win that
they're
way.
not going to increase that tonight, as they've already made 1.
Ground ball to the left side. Boone in, up, and across. And Jimmy Anderson gets 3 ground ball outs in the first inning. Here come the Reds in their home park against Matt Clement.
If you're looking for the biggest savings event of the year,
Toyota's got it.
if you're looking for the largest selection of the year,
Toyota's got it.
you'll find it all right now at Toyota's tent event.
Toyota's got it.
Check out Toyota's complete lineup of 5 SUVs. Get 0% financing on Highlander, the 4Runner SR5, and RAV4. Or choose 800 customer cash on Highlander. If you want it, this tent event's got it. Now at your Toyota dealer.
Toyota's got it.
There's an easier way to get to the All-Star Game. Subway's Eat Fresh and Win $1 Million Scratch Card Game. You can win a trip to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game or the grand prize of $1 million. Stop by Subway today for our selection of fresh baked bread, fresh ingredients, delicious deli-style meats, and a free game card. Subway, eat fresh.
Hot dogs. Peanut.
Can I get a bag of nuts, please?
Coming right up.
The Civic from Honda. It figures.
Hot dogs. Candy.
Now you can lease a 2003 Civic LX sedan for $159 a month for 48 months.
Cubs strand the game's first runner in the first. Here come the Reds in their home ballpark. They average 5 runs a game. That's good for 5th in the National League. And they do it with lots of power. Adam Dunn leads off with 22 home runs. That leads the National League. Then it's Barry Larkin just off the DL. Ken Griffey Jr., 7 home runs, hits 3rd. Austin Kearns in right. Aaron Boone at 3rd. Sean Casey is at 1st, hitting 6th. Jason LaRue's the catcher. Juan Castro at 2nd base hits 8th. Jimmy Anderson bats 9th against Cub right-hander Matt Clement, who seeks win number 5 on the year.
This is the 13th start of the year, and as you can see, the ERA at 4.48. Now, the one thing that troubles you is at lifetime against Cincinnati, Matt is 4-6, but an ERA of 5.83 in 10 games. He hasn't faced him this year. That's to the advantage of Clement. But he has had some problems with the left-hand hitter. That's to the advantage of Dunn and Griffey and Casey. So we'll see how he fares this evening. On the surface, the matchup wouldn't favor the Cubs. They don't play the game on the surface, however, they play it on the field, and hopefully Matt Clement can do something he hasn't done a whole lot of, and that's beat the Cincinnati Reds.
He's 4-6 against them lifetime, an earned run average approaching 6. And Matt has been victimized by a woeful lack of offensive support. So every pitch for him has been like the World Series. And he faces Adam Dunn, Steve, who just has not been able to put together as impressive a second half of last season and first half of this year, what turned out to be an all-star year for him last season. He's really struggling with that batting average.
What he's not struggling with is hitting the ball out of the ballpark, on a pace to hit 53 home runs. What he depends on is getting ahead of the pitcher where he's at right now, and then he looks for the fastball, and he can hit it as far as anybody in baseball.
What's remarkable about Dunn, as that shot hit in the right field, it'll be played on a hop by O'Leary. Adam Dunn now with 22 home runs this year, 19 singles.
Well, he has another single, and he had it because Clement fell behind 2-0. If Matt's going to do that tonight, he's going to get pasted by this team. Pick up on the short hop, and Troy O'Leary trying to get an acting award, but Joe West has seen that a time or two. And although you show it to the umpire, pretty obviously it was trapped. So an ominous beginning against a ball club that's always given him problems. Now,
Larkin has 2. He's 4 for 13 with a home run against him.
Well, you can turn 2 if he hits it on the ground at this stage of his career.
Larkin's been plagued by calf problems most of this season. He usually does his best work against the Cubs. He's hitting .258 this season, a home run, 5 batted in. As you see, just 62 at bats for the Cincinnati captain.
It's going to be hard to keep him healthy, and with Barry Larkin back in the lineup, Felipe Lopez has been sent down to the minor leagues because you don't want to use a youngster as a utility player. They want him to play every day, and that's what he's going to do at AAA.
Lopez too had huge defensive problems here, 16 errors, and Larkin makes it 2 straight Cincinnati hits to lead off the game. So trouble brewing here in the Reds' first inning. Here's Junior.
Well, one of the things, Chip, that is hard to explain when you look at this entire Reds baseball team, they're 4th from the bottom in hitting, although you'd never know it by the first 2 hitters. They're at the bottom in pitching with a .563 team ERA. They're at the bottom in defense. Why are they only 3 games in back of the Cubs?
Because they can outscore just about anybody. We've talked about that all year. Number 1. Number 2, neither the Cubs, the Cardinals, nor the Astros have been able to put together any kind of a consistent streak to pull away from teams like Cincinnati in the division. So it's a 4-team race right now, and deservedly so.
And a sinker baller is most vulnerable early in the game. We've talked about it a lot. The ball doesn't sink quite as much, and instead of ground balls, you give up line drives. That's what happened the first 2 hitters.
So here's Ken Griffey Jr. He feels a whole lot better now. He's been bothered with some groin problems. You'll remember the last time we saw the Reds in this park, Griffey tried to make a diving catch in front of the Cincinnati bullpen on a drive off of Paul Bacco's bat. Great effort, but Griffey diving for the ball separated his shoulder, or dislocated his shoulder, I should say, and was lost for 37 games for Cincinnati. 1 ball, no strikes to the Red center fielder. 2 on, nobody out. That catches the inside corner, says Paul Emmel. And here is the play in Cincinnati.
You can't fault the effort, but with the layout dive, he was gone for a month and a half.
But he's back now, and the Reds glad to have him. 7 home runs, 14 knocked in. That one ripped down the right field line. Junior, by the way, could join Sammy Sosa and Rafael Palmeiro in the 500 home run club this year. Griffey 25 away from that milestone, and in this ballpark you'd have to say you like his chances.
Well, I like Matt's chances against him if he can keep the ball inside. Griffey's having some problems catching up to the good fastball, especially if it's above the belt on the inner portion of the plate. That's not Clement's strength, but that is Griffey's weakness. And you're right, Chip, this ballpark is as lively as any ballpark, including Coors Field.
More home runs allowed here than any other park in baseball. That is a shocking statistic. More than Fenway, more than Coors, more than Wrigley. Junior swings through that, and he's retired for out number 1. But you face maybe the Reds' best hitter, Austin Kearns.
Let's take a look at the Cub defense and how they line up behind Matt Clement. It's Alou, Patterson, and O'Leary left to right in the infield. Martinez, Gonzalez, Grzelcyk, and Karros with Damian Miller behind the plate. Matt Clement on the hill. And a lot of pressure will fall to Damian Miller because Matt Clement occasionally throws that slider in the dirt. 6 wild pitches this year, and you could ill afford to have one here with the double play still in order.
Karros has hit 15 home runs. What a young slugger this guy is for the Reds. 2 on with 1 out. Backhanded stop by Miller. That one almost got through. 1 ball, no strikes.
I think all things considered, Austin Kearns is probably their best hitter. He runs fairly well, but he's not a speed burner. So if you can get him to hit the ball on the ground, you can turn the double play. He's grounded into 6 of them this year. But he doesn't really have one weakness. You have to move the ball around on him.
Dunn and Larkin lead. The breaking ball is fouled straight back. And the count evens at 1-1. Kearns brings a 7-game hit streak into proceedings tonight. The Reds in their home park are 2 games over 500. And really, they've done a marvelous job of getting back over 500. We saw this team in Chicago. They were demoralized. They were pounded by Chicago. They were heading to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and a lot of folks thought they were done. They shuffled up the lineup, made 7 roster moves, and they're 7 games over 500 since that series back home. And they are right back in the thick of this divisional race.
Well, one of the reasons is the great year of Austin Kearns, who was the first-round draft pick, the 7th overall in the June 1998 draft. And this guy uses the whole field. He's a rare power hitter who will hit the ball all over.
2 balls and a strike. Late strike call. The Cubs happy to have it. 2-2 your count. Kearns wasn't too sure about that.
Adam Dunn, Barry Larkin, Austin Kearns, Aaron Boone, all products of the Red farm system. That last pitch might have been a little low, but Paul Emmel thought it was good enough. Austin Kearns didn't.
But no argument from him. He'll have to protect now. 2-2 with 2 on in the Cincinnati first.
Maybe the biggest pitch of the game right here to Austin Kearns. I know it's early, but you make a mistake here, you have a problem. And they've got pretty good speed on the bases.
The Cubs have not scored much on this trip, and they've played in 2 very friendly offensive parks. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Will the Reds run? They're not going, and a line drive pulled into the seats foul. Kearns will stay alive at 3-2.
Well, I think maybe one of the reasons that Bob Boone isn't running is because of who's in the on-deck circle. Aaron Boone. Boone has hit Clement real well. And Austin Kearns, although for a big man he's got decent speed, doesn't have great speed overall. He has swiped 4 bases, been caught twice. If you run and you can strike out Kearns, the strike him out, throw him out is a distinct possibility. However, Bob Boone has done those things in the past, so let's see how he sets up here.
2 hits to lead off the game for the Reds. Griffey struck out. Now Kearns looks at a 3-2. Runners aren't going this time. Strikeout. Throw to third. Not in time. Double steal for Cincinnati. They have their second out, but a hit could score 2 runs. Dunn's 5th steal. Larkin's first steal. And here is Boone.
They are running. And the throw is high. If the throw is on the bag, they're going to throw out Dunn, and it is going to be a strike him out, throw him out. But as you can see, Martinez has to go a long way from head high to the bag, and Dunn is in, and he's helping Lance Barksdale with the call, making the safe sign.
Well, I'm sure the umpires appreciate all the help they can get. Times the game a little difficult to officiate. We're off to a flying start. 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs for Boone, the reigning National League Player of the Week for Cincinnati. And Clement drops that in for a strike. Boone, a real oddity in that as a right-hand hitter, he has absolutely crushed Clement. 8 hits, 17 at bats. 2 of those hits have left the park. Matt usually doesn't have that kind of trouble against righties. That's a testament to the talent of Boone.
And a testament to the fact that he will take that slider to right center field.
No balls and a strike. He takes it to right field for a base hit. Dunn will score. Larkin around third. O'Leary up. No throw to the plate. Big 2-out hit for the Reds. They lead it 2-0.
Well, Chip, I'll tell you where you might have made a mistake into thinking when you know a guy's really hurt you, and Aaron Boone has really hurt Matt Clement. You've got first base open. I know it's a righty-righty matchup, but Clement has shown Aaron Boone has shown him that his best might be a little better than Matt's best. He went to the high fastball. He took it into right field and drives home another 2 runs, and Boone now has driven home 45.
So he has a 6-game hitting streak, and the Reds have scored first. Here's Sean Casey. The other part of that lefty-righty matchup that you throw out the window is right now Casey is not swinging the bat particularly well. Just 7 hits in his last 34 at-bats.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I would have pitched around Boone.
Well, he hit a pitch out of the strike zone, found a hole to the right, and the Reds with their 3rd hit of the inning have scored first and second here. Boone with very good speed has 11 steals, and Casey hits a rifle shot foul for a strike.
Casey's always been somewhat surprising in that he is a big man. He does have almost no speed at all. And for a first baseman, he doesn't exhibit the kind of power you would like. And yet that batting average always up or near 300. And that's one of the reasons why he's had the opportunity to play here in Cincinnati. Now, they've talked about dealing him at times because he makes a pretty good wage. It's hard to move a guy like him.
Catches the inside corner, and if they were able to move him, obviously they'd try to get starting pitching, but then they'd have the luxury of putting Dunn at first. They could put Guillen in the outfield with Griffey and with Kearns.
Well, that's what they do because Guillen has done so well. So when they do sit Casey, they think that Adam Dunn could be a power hitting everyday first baseman.
Guillen has 11 home runs and 158 at bats, but he can't crack the starting lineup. Casey swings through that pitch. Clement strikes out the side, but he also gives up 3 hits and a couple of runs. And after one, the Reds lead it 2-0.
Southwest Airlines. More than 2,700 nonstop daily flights to 59 destinations all across the country.
Free to move about the country.
Come on in, Derek. I thought we discussed this thing and had it all worked out. You're our starting shortstop. How can you possibly afford to spend 2 nights dancing, 2 nights eating out, and 3 nights just carousing with your friends? Oh.
If you want to enjoy the New York nightlife, bring your Visa card, because Orso, Cheetah, and the Broome Street Bar don't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Grace.
Edward.
Your eyes sparkle like
halogen headlamps.
Only when I look at you.
There's something about you. Your hair, your smile.
Your sticker price.
Now get 0% APR for 60 months on every 2003 Chevy Malibu and Impala. Or get $3,000 cash back.
Oh, Edward.
Take me to your leader.
That's dealer, Chevy dealer.
Chevy dealer.
Magglio Ordonez and the White Sox will have to be ready for this battle, as Nomar and the Red Sox are poised to make a run for the AL East. White Sox, Red Sox, tomorrow at 6:30 on Fox Sports Net.
There's a lot of great baseball coming up at the end of June and into July. Look at that series with the Cardinals over the 4th of July. Then we'll finally get a peek at the Florida Marlins and the red-hot Atlanta Braves. Good tickets available for all of those games at historic Wrigley Field. You can get them online at Cubs.com, the official site of wearing your heart on your sleeve, cap pullover, and a whole lot more. 2-0. Cincinnati has scored first. Here in the second inning, Eric Karros, Troy O'Leary, and Alex Gonzalez will go to work.
The Cubs knew that they would have to outslug the Reds, and so nothing's changed. Cincinnati has broken on top 2-0.
Well, nothing cures a A struggling offense, like a visit against this Cincinnati staff. The Cubs are hitting .346 this year against the Reds pitching staff, and they've hit 14 home runs in 7 games.
Well, I have no doubt that they're going to terrorize some of the other pitchers. I would like to see them do it one time to Jimmy Anderson, something they've been unable to do in the past.
There's a shot to center, but Griffey's going to catch that. First fly out of the game. It's off the bat of Eric Karros. You better get used to seeing ground balls because Ryan Dempster is going to the hill tomorrow. And he, when he's right, wears out the infield grass. Hey, we've been telling you about Talking Baseball with Chip and Steve. Tuesday, June 24th. A couple of great guests will be joining us as we talk about this terrific start to the 2003 season.
Corey Patterson takes care of the offense for the Cubs, and Joe Borowski is the guy that closes it down. So they're going to be our guests for the inaugural Talking Baseball. You get a lunch, cost you $50. You can call Harry Carey's, and tickets are going pretty quickly, so we would advise you on the 24th of June to be there around 11:30. You'll be out of there in a couple of hours, and you'll get to hear from two of the real good Cub contributors this year, Corey Patterson, Joe Borowski. And where would the Cubs be without Borowski's 13 saves?
Both of those guys, I think, deserve all-star consideration. Don't know if either one will get the call to U.S. Cellular Field for the Midsummer Classic as the rules have changed.
Well, I think he's going to. What a year Corey Patterson has had, both offensively and defensively.
There's a slasher into left field off the bat of Troy O'Leary. So he's aboard in the second inning. So again, we're real excited. June 24th. Harry Carey's downtown at the corner of Dearborn and Kinsey. HarryCarys.com, the place you can log on for more information. And again, you'll get to meet two of the nicest guys in all of baseball, and Corey Patterson and Joe Borowski. Not to mention Steve Stump.
Don't mention it.
Okay, I won't.
Keep that in abeyance until the luncheon. We'll pull a surprise on the folks.
Alex Gonzalez, 3 for 6 against Jimmy Anderson in his career. A long ball would tie it here in the second inning.
Well, I talked with Alex before the game, and I asked him about his leg, and he said that it's in pretty good shape now. And I asked him how he kept himself together playing in Toronto, and he said on that artificial surface it's real tough. If you have any leg problems at all, it makes it more difficult, and if you don't, eventually you wind up getting them.
There's another shot into left field. Dunn will try to cut it off. He will. 360 spin heading toward third. O'Leary, the throw cut off. And Gonzalez sends O'Leary to third. The Cubs have him at the corners now with one out for Damian Miller.
Well, I think if Alex was feeling good, he would have taken second base. That throw wasn't where it should have been. It should have been to second. Dunn gets to the ball quickly, and I think Alex, if he read this throw, could have taken second base. Now O'Leary's going to run on Dunn because he's going away from the throw. He's heading into left center. And that throw came in right to Barry Larkin. But if you see where the ball's going, you could run yourself into scoring position. But again, Alex, although he says he's feeling good, I think he is not going to extend himself. And Chip, Bobby Hill is with the ball club. Francis Beltran sent down, and Bobby Hill activated today, so he might play a part in this one, and he did a good job at AAA.
The Cubs brought Beltran to Toronto for one game just because that bullpen had been used so much. After that rain delay situation in Baltimore, they were an arm or two short down there. They're back to full strength. Everybody available tonight. And now Bobby Hill is back up as the Cubs, with Hill and Bellhorn, switch hitting available off the bench. One thing the Cubs don't want in this situation is a ground ball. Damian's grounded into 6 double plays on the season, and as we've told you, Anderson, when he's right, gets a lot of ground ball outs.
Well, if Damian looks to the right side, there's plenty of room between Castro and Casey to shoot the ball through if you go that way.
Little flare into right. Kern's coming on. That ball's going to drop in for a hit. 1 run is in. Alex is trying for third, and the throw is going to beat it.
We saw the arm of Austin Kearns, and it's a good one. It's the best arm in their outfield, and he's also very accurate. So Gonzalez thrown out. They took the gamble that Kearns would throw off the mark. Lately, nobody's been throwing off the mark against the Cubs. The ball beats him. The tag is there. Ironically, he tags the back foot, and the front foot doesn't hit the bag. front foot hits the bag, he's probably going to be safe.
So now Clement hits a high chopper back to the mound. Anderson has to hurry, and he makes the play. And the Cubs settle for 1 on 3 hits in the second inning. 2-1 our score here in Cincinnati.
Announcing the Ford authorized tent sale going on now at your local Ford store. For a limited time, choose 0 for 60 or Ford will match your down payment up to $1,000 for a total of $4,500 cash down on a new Taurus. Get into a WinStar and choose 0 for 60 or Ford matches your down payment up to $1,500 for a grand total of $6,000 cash down. Plus, current Ford owners get an extra $500 bonus cash on both. So hurry in for the Ford authorized tent sale. If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again.
Come on, Cupcake, you can do it. Come on, tough guy. Papa, baby, come on. We're almost there. Get inside that thing.
Good job, man. Dude, grab your mics. There's nothing but a fish and empty bottles in here.
When you're fishing for refreshment, a hard Mike's is good to find.
Making Mike's.
And now with a late-breaking story, here's Suzanne.
Thanks, Tom. As the volcano continues to erupt, we take you live to correspondent John Ryland, who's at the scene. John, what's the situation?
Suzanne, as you can see behind me, the lava is covering an area of about 2 square miles. It's a bad situation, but I do have good news.
What's that, John?
I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Comcast, proud to be Chicagoland's new cable company.
Friday, Sammy Sosa and the Cubs will welcome Frank Thomas and Bill Melton and the rest of the White Sox to their favorite ballpark, Wrigley Field, for the first installment of this year's Crosstown Classic. Coverage starts with the Mike's Hard Lemonade Cubs Pre Friday at 1:30 as the Crosstown Classic kicks off here on Fox Sports Net. Reds coming up in their half of the second inning. LaRue, Castro, and Anderson against Matt Clement, who trails by only a run now.
Jason LaRue is one of the real pleasant surprises as far as Cincinnati is concerned. This is a guy on pace to hit 25 or more home runs. His career high is 12. Last year he hit just 249, drove in 52. This year he's been a different guy, and it started with his defense.
He's another tough guy in that he's not afraid to lean into a pitch a la Jason Kendall. This guy's been hit 9 times for the Reds.
Well, you can see the padded up left elbow and the padded up left wrist. If you throw it inside, he'll just take it off the body and head to first base.
Out of play into the upper deck.
I talked with Bob Boone about what's the difference in LaRue. He said, well, he had that linebacker mentality. He would go up there, squeeze the sawdust out of the bat, try to hit every pitch as hard as he could. He said he's got tremendous power. He said he's going to be a power hitter in the major leagues. He said he led a league hitting 360 and led it by 40 points in Double-A.
That'll straighten you up. And LaRue ducks out of the way by an eyelash.
These guys
are not afraid to pitch inside.
Well, these guys had a battle with Philadelphia last series, and that one just missed him. Those aren't the type of pitches you lean into. Those are the ones you do everything you can to get away from. He was lucky to get down.
Beg your pardon, the Cubs have hit 35 men this year already. And he goes inside again and misses. 3 balls and a strike. Point Steve was talking about, Adam Dunn absolutely ran over Mike Lieberthal of the Phillies the other day. And then the Phillies retaliated by throwing behind him a couple of times as LaRue rips a shot up the middle. And then Dunn went out to the mound. In fact, here is the sequence in the Reds' last home series.
Well, I think what they took exception to, Chip, was it was a 12-1 game. I don't think they minded a collision. That part of it was okay. It just was a blowout. And then Lieberthal with one of the great tackles. Now, you're talking about with Adam Dunn, a guy who played a whole lot of football. And Lieberthal did exactly what you have to do, Chip. Regardless of what happens, you make sure that the big guy doesn't get to your pitcher.
I was talking to Dunn before the game, and I just held my hands up as if to say, what's up with that? He said, I'm so embarrassed by that. His high school football coach called him. As Castro stands in. His high school football coach called him and said, I coached you, Adam, for 4 years. 4 years, and nobody in the football pads could bring you down one-on-one, and you let a catcher do it.
With all the gear on.
Yeah.
Bringing you down from behind. He said one man never brought you down from behind.
But fortunately, no one was hurt on that play, and Dunn, I'm sure, got a huge fine in the Kangaroo Court. A little squibber up the middle. Cubs will only have a chance to get one, so Castro advances the runner for Jimmy Anderson here in the Cincinnati second.
Well, I think one of the things that's troubling about this particular start for Matt Clement, and hopefully he can right the ship, is normally right-handers don't hit him very well. And tonight, Larkin, Boone, and LaRue, 3 right-handers, have hit the ball pretty hard against him. Normally, you think the left-handers will give him some problems. So if he can get the right-handers out, he should have a pretty good performance. But again, this is a team that he's never handled very well, as they've averaged just about 6 runs a game against him.
Jimmy Anderson just 0 for 4 on the year. He started the first month for Cincinnati. Why did he only have 4 at-bats? Well, frankly, he wasn't in the game long enough to have more than 1 at a time.
He's got an ERA in excess of 8, and yet goes to the mound against the Cubs. Things seem to work out very well for him. One of the reasons why he was brought up to pitch against him and lead off what for the Reds is a critical series.
No balls and a strike. Runner at second, 1 out. The other area where the Reds, besides their offense, are very impressive is, as you know, their bullpen. If they can get consistent starting pitching, get 5 to 6 innings every single day, they have a chance to win a lot of ball games. They have a very deep, very good bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Kind of interesting is the schedule makers saw fit to send the Cubs here for the 4-game series. I don't believe, Chip, that anybody thought that this would be a critical series as far as the National League Central was concerned, that the Cubs would be leading, the Reds would be just 3 behind as they entertain the Cubs for a 4-game series in the middle of June, but that's the way it's worked out.
2 balls and a strike. 3-1 to the pitcher.
And one thing about this road trip, the Cubs at 3-3 on what they knew would be a tough road trip have actually picked up ground, because the other 2 teams, their closest pursuers, were swept in New York and Fenway respectively.
Pretty remarkable. The Cubs have done this again without Sammy Sosa, who is with the team in Cincinnati and is eligible to play Wednesday. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Anderson. But I think it's fair to say, even with Sammy Sosa, the Cubs still are looking for another bat. It's common knowledge. Whether that opportunity will avail itself to Jim Hendry remains to be seen, but this is a ball club that's going to have to win with its pitching. The defense at times has been great. By and large, it's been okay. This is not a patient hitting team. It's right now not a team that's going to hit a lot of home runs.
But it's been a real good pitching team.
Very good pitching team. 3-2 to the pitcher, and there's a base hit to left field. Wow, LaRue had to hold up. And the Reds have him at the corners. That's 5 Cincinnati hits. And Jimmy Anderson beating us with his arm and with his bat now. And the top of the order comes up for the Reds, leading 2-1.
Jimmy Anderson on a high fastball takes it into left field. Matt Clement getting under the ball again, Chip. Now, we've talked about this as the continuing lament for Clement, and that is, not only does he get his arm under the ball, but he gets his fingers under the ball. The hand slips and everything stays up. That's really the death knell for any sinker baller, because when the ball doesn't sink, you give up a lot of line drives. Giving up one to Jimmy Anderson here shows you that right now Matt is having all kinds of problems. And now you move to the top with Adam Dunn, who we saw in this ballpark hit one of the longest home runs we've ever seen.
If you look out to where the replica of the Steamboat smokestacks are, the left Aquafina sign is where he went.
It looks like close to 500 feet.
Man,
I think they measured it at 480 something, but looked like it came out of a cannon.
He singled, stole a base, and scored in the 2-run Cincinnati first. A fly ball would score another. As LaRue leads over at third, Matt misses outside. Ball 1.
Matt's fallen behind most of these Reds, and seemingly when you have trouble with a ball club, that's what happens. You start falling behind their hitters, then they give you problems.
Jumps at double play depth, of course, with Dunn. And that one nowhere near. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Safe to say that they're not holding Jimmy Anderson at first. He doesn't appear to be a speed burner, so you have Eric Karros behind him, trying to get a better angle on anything hit that way.
Tried to check his swing, didn't matter. It was called a strike. He has an odd batting stance, Stoney, in that front foot is wide open, but the top half of his body is closed off to the pitcher. We've seen other guys have the open stance and almost face the pitcher with their torso.
He feels he can get extension that way, and he feels he can handle the inside pitch. But to me, Chip, you got to stay in there on him. And he has all kinds of problems with the breaking ball. He's fanned 79 times. It'll be 80 if Matt can throw a slider down and in. And this is a free swinger who's not necessarily a #1 hitter. But when I asked Bob Boone why he did it, he goes, we don't really have a bona fide #1. Somebody's got to do it. And occasionally they get concerned and pitch around Dunn.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 1 out. And Dunn laid off. Normally he has a pretty good eye up there. And we've talked about the leadoff spot before. Usually you're only leading off 1 time a game. That's in the first inning. And an opportunity for him to drive home the catcher and the pitcher here in the Cincinnati 2nd inning.
Well, to drive home Jimmy Anderson, you're going to have to hit it out of the park. Unless you bring a car with you.
3-2. Anderson's running at first. Swing and a miss. Miller's throw is cut off. Now they get him in a rundown between third and the plate. LaRue heading toward the plate again.
Eventually LaRue's going to run out of gas.
He did. So they sent Anderson maybe trying to steal a run. And Cincinnati is done in the 2nd inning. This game's not going too beautifully so far, is it? 2-1. Reds have the lead after 2.
There's a place where driver's education is everyone's favorite subject. The Saab Aero Academy. 2 days of high-performance driving instruction with every new turbocharged Saab 95 Aero. This is the state of independence. And here, tuition is included.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Chicago Cubs and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Chicago Cubs.
Come see why Castle Buick Pontiac GMC has been Chicagoland's first choice for over 22 years. Rain, snow, or shine, shop indoors in our 35,000 square foot showroom. Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles in stock. And always get the best service and the best prices right up front. Come see how car shopping should be. And don't forget, before you buy, come see the Castle Guy.
Before you buy, see the Castle Guy. Castle Buick Pontiac GMC.
Need to blend in? Get smart. Get supplied. You need camouflage. Get yours at Military and Police Supply. We have camouflage of all forms, colors, and shades, and for all occasions. Shopping to be invisible is fun. Our merchandise fits the big boys and small fry. And don't leave without buying a t-shirt. We have racks of them. Finding a keeper won't take long. Located at 7351 West Madison and Forest Park, minutes from the Eisenhower from the city or suburbs. Dial 312 surplus for weekly specials and closeout. Supplying authority for over 25 great years. Military and Police Supply. Thanks for the business.
Stoney, they tried to trick us by sending the very speedy Jimmy Anderson with Adam Dunn in the box and Barry Larkin coming up.
Well, eventually you had to figure that Jason LaRue would run out of gas, and it was right here. Karros did a nice job of backing up and covering the plate with Damian Miller in the rundown. And a very surprised Jason LaRue when he saw Jimmy Anderson running. That's a really weird call with Barry Larkin coming up. A especially with a guy that now has fanned 80 times in Adam Dunn, no stranger to the strikeout. And looking at the physique of Jimmy Anderson, you don't think he's going to be able to steal second base, so you get taken out of the inning, something that you just as soon not do. So the Reds have hit the ball very well. They only have 2 runs to show for it. Let's see if the Cubs can make him pay the price. Now bear in mind also, Jimmy Anderson was running to end the inning. Maybe that'll come back to haunt him this inning.
As the top of the order is up, Grudzielanek, Martinez, and Corey Patterson. Mark rounded out second his first time up, leading off the ball game. And a ball low and away from Anderson. Things that make you go so far for both teams in this game. And a hot shot past Boone. He had no chance at that ball. That's into the corner. Grudzielanek around first. He'll motor on to second. Throw is up the line, and Grudzielanek has his 16th double of the year. There's your tying run potentially, and for the Cubs, their 4th hit of the game.
Well, they're going to run on Adam Dunn. This throw is off the mark. And with Anderson trying to get inside, he will occasionally cut the fastball in there, but that's not his strength. And hopefully running the bases can help do him in, as the Cubs with a very promising start to the 3rd inning. Second time through the order, they have to realize at this point that Anderson doesn't throw anything but fastballs, and they're not too fast. So that's throw well off the mark, and Grudzielanek in at second.
Let's see how Martinez fares. He'll try to get Grudzielanek to third. He does not show a bunt. 1 ball, no strikes. It is kind of a difficult thought process for your manager in this ballpark. If you give away outs, you give away opportunities to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and you do have to try to outslug these guys here to beat them consistently.
Well, Martinez is not going to bunt. He's going to try to hit the ball to right center field to move him along that way. Maybe he is going to bunt.
Can't bunt if they don't throw you a strike, though. 2-0 the count.
Aaron Boone, normally a very good third baseman. He's made an error in this one. And as you can see, Martinez, when he does get a hit, will try to pull it.
Line towards second and over the glove of Castro. Grudzielanek will head to third. The Cubs have them first and third for Corey Patterson, and nobody out. And if anyone were to be nominated as this team's MVP offensively in the first half, Dusty Baker says Corey Patterson would be that man.
Corey's meant the world to our team. I mean, Corey's been an all-star to me, and he's also been a Golden Glove at the same time. He saved us both offensively and defensively. I mean, this young man, he's only 23 years old. I mean, he's doing pretty damn good for 23 years old.
Ground ball toward the hole at short. Larkin will get 1 at second. No chance to turn it at first. Corey Patterson drives home Grudzielanek to tie the game at 2. Give him his 48th run batted in on the year.
Very optimistic play by Juan Castro. He had to know that Corey Patterson is going down the line. There's no reason to make this throw, as by the time it gets to Casey, Corey is 3 steps in back of the bag. So we drive home the run, and Corey does a nice job of making some contact. And then there really is no chance at all of double play, as Larkin has to move to his right. One of the things that Corey's done, Chip, that somewhat surprising, is moved into the 3 spot, because that was a question mark with Sammy Sosa having the physical problems and then the suspension. Corey was able to move from his number 6 spot in the batting order, where he's driving in a lot of runs, moved to the number 3 spot ahead of Moises Alou. That allowed Moises to pick up the RBI total because Corey was getting on a lot.
Let's see if he's going to run at all here. In front of Alou, who takes the ball low. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, Corey's batted several spots in the order, and he has excelled no matter where Dusty has put him. That's again a sign of this young man's maturity. He's growing up before our very eyes.
And LaRue has a very strong arm. But Jimmy Anderson is not particularly quick to the plate.
He missed the corner. 2 balls, no strikes. Or was that a late strike call? The scoreboard here shows 1-1.
That's a good question. I didn't see Paul Emmel at first make a sign. That ball looked like it was a strike.
definitely was not a strike.
That was out of the zone.
2-1 your count. Cubs into play tonight, 37-30 on the year. 3 games over 500 in the Central Division. Lead the Astros by a game. Houston fell in extra frames. They were swept by Boston at Fenway Park.
The Cubs should hit Jimmy Anderson pretty well because he doesn't have real good stuff tonight.
Runner goes. He got a huge jump. Alou took it wisely. I mean, he stole that base easily.
If you guess right, you've got no chance with Corey Patterson running because Anderson is very slow to the plate. Steals his 13th base, and even a good throw by LaRue had no chance whatsoever.
So Patterson in scoring position, and Alou looks at that downstairs. So Anderson issues his first walk, first and second. Eric Karros coming up, and Anderson looking for a ground ball here.
I think it's going to be a real interesting question, the patience that Bob Boone shows with Jimmy Anderson. He was just recalled. He had a good run at it in AAA, but they designated him for assignment 10 days after he beat the Cubs the last time. Here he is back to pitch against the Cubs because Paul Wilson pitched into the second inning in his start before they rained it out yesterday.
Cubs showing a little more patience now the second time through, as you figured they would.
Well, I think they realize that Anderson is not throwing anything but a fastball. Barry Larkin now coming in to talk with him.
Not coincidentally, this 1-run 3-hit inning comes after Anderson had to run the bases in the Cincinnati second.
Well, that's what's even more surprising, the call by Bob Boone. You're looking at Don Gullett, one of the best pitching coaches around. In fact, between Larry Rothschild and Don Gullett, you've got 2 guys that are acclaimed as being very much at the top of the heap as far as pitching coaches are concerned.
Off the end of the bat and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. O'clock here in Cincinnati. Just a gorgeous spring night.
Weather forecast was for rain. Fortunately, it stayed away. Doesn't look like it'll be here.
Ground ball toward Larkin, sharply hit. Second base 1. Plenty of time to turn the double play. And the Cubs get a run on 3 hits in the third. They tied the game 2 apiece.
Introducing Rain-X Car Wax. The same transparent polymer technology that makes our windshield treatment so effective now keeps your whole car protected from rain, dirt, UV rays, and more. There's almost nothing Rain-X Wax won't protect your car from. Almost. New Rain-X Car Wax. Protection you can see.
G35, 260 horsepower, sport tuned suspension, Motor Trend 2003 Car of the Year. A dream to drive. The Infiniti G35.
Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize again for the delay, but our gate is still not available. However, should we experience any excessive boredom here on the tarmac, disco balls will drop, and the sounds of Le Freak, C'est Chic will fill the cabin. Always be sure to get your groove thing on first before assisting others. Thank you for your patience.
Discover your inner Smirnoff responsibly.
Cubs fans, with summer road construction, public transportation is a quick, convenient way to get you to the game. Take the train or bus, and the CTA takes you right to the gates of Wrigley Field. And remember, if you do drive, come early, enjoy batting practice, and take advantage of the early bird discount.
Some critics are calling the best sports show period a 2-hour frat party with irreverent skits, insightful interviews, and sharp locker room banter. Tonight, the show features Malik Rose of the world champion San Antonio Spurs, Ket Danico from the world champion New Jersey Devils, and Rob Reiner, the world-famous director of Spinal Tap. All after the Fifth Third Bank Cubs Post tonight here on Fox. Third inning rolls round, game tied 2-2, each team with 5 hits. Cincinnati the lone error on the night, and it's the middle of the order for the Reds. Larkin, Griffey, and Kearns here in the third.
I think both teams probably feel at this point that they should have more runs on the board than they have, and hopefully Matt will stay ahead of the hitters now.
But he can't. Ball 1 to Larkin.
Well, that high fastball that he's thrown to a lot of the right-handers is not going to get him much mileage.
Took a little off, and that drops in.
Tim Foley, the coach at third. Former Cub Jose Cardinal, the coach at first. There's a look at Tim. At one point, a #1 draft choice of the New York Mets. I played against him when he was a young shortstop at Visalia. And he was talking about some of the teams he played on that were real good teams. He talked about the '79 world champion Pittsburgh Pirates and the 1982 California Angels that lost to Harvey's Wallbangers, got swept, and then Milwaukee went to the World Series. He talked about leadership and how it evolves on a ball club.
That ball driven to right, lake break by O'Leary, but Troy recovers in time. And Larkin is retired here in the third inning.
Well, I asked him about the leadership on this Cincinnati team, and he said, well, Barry Larkin's the captain of this team. He's been here the longest. It's real hard to lead if you don't stay healthy continually. And he goes, in Larkin's absence, he goes, they take a look at what Austin Kearns does on a daily basis, and he goes, this guy is going to emerge into a leader type player, even though he's not a vocal player. He just plays hard every day.
There's certainly nothing wrong with that, and ideally on a real good team, your best player is your leader by word and deed.
Well, he's not going to be a rah-rah type guy. He doesn't have to be.
Popped up out of play off the bat of Ken Griffey Jr.
He talked about that '82 Angel team, and he talked about Don Baylor and Bobby Gridge. And the fact that they went out there every day and just played as hard as they possibly could in all situations. And he said that's how leadership evolves. He said it was Dave Parker for the '79 Pittsburgh Pirate team, even though Pops Willie Stargell was the MVP of the World Series.
1 ball, 1 strike, bases clear for Griffey. The Cubs play him straight away and very deep.
You think he will ever regain what he was with Seattle in those glory years?
He just can't stay healthy. He's missed 140 games or so the last 3 years because of injury. And that one hit a mile high into right. Again, O'Leary will have a chance. I just think it's been very tough, maybe tougher than he even imagined, coming back and playing in Cincinnati. And he has given back a lot of money, deferred a lot of money for the Reds organization to sign some more players and to try to get them some more help to win this division, to be a competitive force in the league. But there are a lot of people in this town who blame the problems of the Reds on the fact that Griffey hasn't been able to stay healthy, and it's not been his fault. He's gotten hurt because he's played so hard, quite frankly.
Well, he might have to make one adjustment, Chip, and that'll be the question mark. Will he move out of center field to try to protect his legs and maybe give him a little bit more playing time, because they have some guys, and you're looking at one of them that could play there every day in Austin Kearns. Now, it's not going to be today, but somewhere down the road you'd have to think he'd move to one of the corners, probably left field.
Speaking of Kearns, he stands in, and I agree with you. And that move would be made even more easily were they able to trade Sean Casey, and they don't really want to do that. Casey, in many ways, is the personality and the face of this franchise for the Reds.
Looks to me like Austin Kearns might have a bloody nose. I wonder if that will affect his hitting. Nothing else has. Playing under duress.
No question about it. There are a lot of guys in this game that be on the DL with a bloody nose. Way outside, ball 3. 3 balls and a strike.
Well, I would be careful here because bad nose or not, this is a pitch that guys love to hit a long way, and this is one of them.
Played with fire, but he got it under the hands. 3-2.
Kept that ball inside, which was a pretty good spot. It was a fastball in a fastball situation, but instead of velocity, it was location that fooled Kearns.
So all bets are off now with a 3-2 count, and the base is clear for the Reds.
Let's see if he goes with the slider.
They're going inside again. Ooh, he got away with the ball right down the middle of the plate.
Well, he struck him out on a good slider in the first inning. That almost turned into a strike him out, throw him out, and got Matt out of the inning without giving up any runs. So if he goes to the good slider, stays on top of it, he'll get him here. We take a look in at Damian Miller. Very comfortable night. 78 degrees here in Cincinnati. You don't see that too often this time of year. And that's the inside fastball.
3-2. Again, it's out of play.
Well, now you've gone in there 3 times. If that's the scouting report with nobody on and 2 out, you don't want to continue to show him your whole card. If that's how you think you can get him out, it's time to do something else. Go away with the slider and maybe save that for a key situation later in the game.
They did go away, and he took it for ball 4. So Kearns aboard with 2 outs, and you have to face again the Reds' hottest hitter in Aaron Boone.
He's also their main base running threat. He's 11 out of 12 in stolen bases. Now they've had 1 thrown out here, but the Reds, who don't run all that often, have run very effectively. 43 steals. They've been thrown out only 16 times. And Aaron Boone, one of the rare combinations of a guy with pretty good power and very good speed.
21 multi-hit games for Boone already this year. 45 RBIs, and don't forget 15 home runs as well. Good stop by Miller. Ball 1. Boone playing in his 230th consecutive game, longest by a Reds player since Dave Parker played in 267 straight for the Reds organization.
I think we were just talking about Dave Parker from his times with Pittsburgh, and he also spent a whole lot of time with the Reds.
1 ball, no strikes. My fondest memory of Dave Parker was the All-Star game in Seattle. That throw he made to the plate.
He could throw with the best of them.
Casey waiting on deck. The Cubs would like to see him in the 4th inning. Miller a high squat behind the plate. The 1-1 pitch. Good delivery. 1-2 now.
That was one of the better sliders. He threw it in a perfect spot, and he was able to mystify Boone. He's probably going to wind up striking out 100 times this year, but they're not quite as concerned about that because they're ecstatic with his run production.
This guy is a very, very steady infielder with a lot of power. 1-2. First goes. Good jump, swing and a miss. Boone strikes out, and the Reds are done in the 3rd. Our game remains tied 2-2 here at the Great American Ballpark.
free to move about the country.
We're here in this auto graveyard to demonstrate New Finish, the once-a-year car polish.
Simply wipe it on, wipe it off. No rubbing, no buffing. New Finish restored a deep, hard shine even to this weather-beaten car. We polished this car with New Finish and ran it through 52 car washes. Even after heavy-duty detergents and powerful scrubbing, the water still beads. New Finish.
Top-rated New Finish, available at Rite Aid, Pep Boys, Ace, AutoZone, Walgreens, Kmart, and other leading stores.
Come on, let's get this guy. It's got to be over 100 degrees out there. Do you have any idea what that does to an engine?
Need a motor oil for hot temperatures? We developed one. Pennzoil Synthetic resists thinning to protect engines in hot summer conditions. Pennzoil, we're driving protection.
Get a $7 rebate on a signature service oil change with Pennzoil Synthetic or high-mileage vehicle motor oils.
The biggest stars are on the best damn sports show, period. Please welcome Samuel after the postgame on Fox Sports Net.
As we head to the fourth inning, time to take a look at our Aflac trivia question from Cincinnati. Which Reds pitcher threw the first no-hitter of his 12-year career against the Cardinals on this date in 1978?
And we're going to hold off our guess to give you at home an opportunity to get this one, but we're going to give you a couple of clues.
It was a year and a day after he was traded, I think, is one of them.
And he didn't throw it for his original team where he starred for many years, a team, by the way, that has never had a no-hitter thrown for them. And it was not Clay Kirby.
No. This is a man that was traded for Steve Psycho Lyons. As Troy O'Leary leads off our fourth inning, O'Leary has singled and has scored, and he has rolled back to the mound. One out in the Cub fourth inning. Anderson's fielded his position pretty well tonight. That's his third assist in the game. And here's Alex Gonzalez, now just 9 hits away from 1,000 in his career. He had a base hit in the second inning and was thrown out trying to go from first to third on a Damian Miller hit in the second.
He had an interesting observation about the artificial surface. He feels that in the long run it'll take 2 years off your career if you play on that on a daily basis. Now we saw just the opposite. We saw years added to the career of Andre Dawson when he left the artificial surface and came to the Cubs. He became the MVP and also played a whole lot longer than he probably would have played because of all of the leg problems he had in Montreal.
I think that's, you mentioned Ken Griffey Jr. That's another example. He played so many years on that rock hard surface of the Kingdome in Seattle. Now playing on the real grass here in Cincinnati. Might extend his career as well, but again, most of his injuries have happened with him slamming into walls or slamming into warning tracks trying to make great highlight reel catches.
One of the great things that baseball has done is move away from the artificial surface onto the natural grass just about everywhere.
Philadelphia, Montreal, Tampa Bay, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. As Gonzalez rolls out quickly, 2 outs in the fourth inning. Philly will move into their new ballpark next season. That'll be a natural grass facility. If Montreal stays in Montreal, of course, they'll have the fake grass. But it's looking more and more, if you believe what you read in the newspapers, like baseball's moving closer toward maybe having the Expos play all of their games in Puerto Rico next season.
And of course, Toronto has the artificial surface, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Right.
Cubs would love to see Damian Miller keep the inning alive because they'd like to bring Matt Clement to bat this inning and then lead off, worst case scenario, with Grzelcyk next inning.
Very quietly, Damian's put together a good road trip. He's 5 for 11 so far for the Cubs. And he's not been real happy with the way he's been swinging the bat. This guy's a very proud performer, of course, member of the world champions from Arizona. And he's been very frank and forthright with us. So look, I just haven't swung the bat this badly ever in my professional career. He's put in a lot of hard work with Sarge. But he takes strike 3 in the fourth inning. And the Cubs are retired in a 2-2 game in Cincinnati tonight.
Oh, look, it's the guy who falls. Fall now.
Oh, I don't really do that anymore. It's not like I got that insurance.
What insurance?
Affleck.
They pay you cash if you can't work when you get hurt. Not that I ever do. Aisle 5 under lingerie.
Price check.
Affleck. Ask about it at work.
Affleck.
In the blink of an eye,
They're infected.
the virus struck.
Use the blood. Keep away from me. There's something in the blood.
The devastation spread, and the world he knew was gone.
No! No! No!
He thinks he's alone, but he's not.
They wake up today in hospital.
28 days later. Rated R. Starts Friday, June 27th.
What is this, some kind of joke?
I don't get it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The only show that takes you inside the world of extreme sports. Each and every weeknight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Weeknights on Fox Sports Net.
Time for our always exciting Affleck trivia question answer here in our fourth inning, which read through the first no-hitter of his 12-year career, this date in 1978.
Great. If you guessed Tom Seaver, you were right. What a great pitcher he was, a Hall of Famer. And he finally turned the trick on this date a long time ago.
Funny story about Tom Seaver. Of course, the Cubs opened the year against the Mets in New York, and Tom Seaver is in the Mets front office. Walked up to Mark Pryor, a fellow alumnus of the University of Southern California, and walked up to the Cub pitcher and said, "Hi, Mark, I'm Tom Seaver. Mind if I take my picture with you?" Pretty big compliment.
Those Southern Cal guys stick together.
So here in the fourth inning, Clement to work. Sean Casey will greet him first, and he jumps on the first ball, and that's through the scissor action of Karros and Grudzielanek. A lot of topspin on that ball, and it's shot through the infield. And Cincinnati has their sixth hit. Casey aboard, not blessed with great speed, however, here in the fourth inning.
Well, what we've seen in this ballpark is the pitchers don't get too many advantages because the infield is very fast, and it's a lively park. That sinker away was pulled through the right side. Karros just missed it, and Grudzielanek didn't have a chance. So they've started off the fourth inning pretty well. Sean Casey, one of the nicest guys in this game.
They nickname him the mayor, and why not? He's just a very amiable person. Here's LaRue. He singled his last time up. Inexplicably, the Reds tried to run with Jimmy Anderson with Dunn in the box, and LaRue was thrown out 2-6, 2-5, and that ended a scoring threat for the Reds.
We talked earlier about them thinking about trading Casey. It's not that they don't like the way Sean Casey plays, because lifetime he's up near 300 and gives you everything he's got on a daily basis, but this isn't a team that can expand their payroll at all, and so when you look for guys to move, that would be one of the guys to maybe get you a pitcher. But Marty Brennaman, the Hall of Fame broadcaster of the Reds, said something real interesting in that he wouldn't be in favor of trading anybody if you could get just one pitcher in return, because he doesn't think one pitcher will put them over the top. And when you talk about the pitcher that might make a difference, he's going to cost you a whole lot more than Sean Casey, because it's going to be a number 2 or 3 starter.
They've got a couple of those already. 1-1, which begs the question, why have the Reds in this season, Steve, opening up a brand new ballpark with a rather, by today's standards, modest payroll and a billionaire owner, not allow Jim Bowden to open up the purse strings and go after a quote-unquote number 1 or number 2 starter?
I think Jim Bowden would probably like to know the same thing. That's just the economic reality.
Thankfully for the rest of the division, the Reds have not done that yet.
Well, the edict he did get, which was somewhat surprising, over the wintertime they asked him to cut $10 million off the payroll. And so they traded Todd Walker. They traded Elmer DeSenz. They got back Felipe Lopez, who just was sent to the minor leagues. And so he accomplished about $6.5 million of that $10 million edict. They would probably like to move somebody else, but at this point they haven't been able to do it, and we're at the point now where it is a seller's market.
1 ball, 2 strikes to the Reds catcher. It's a tailor-made double play opportunity if he can get the ground ball.
Especially with Casey at first. You know he doesn't have the speed to run, but he's got to get a better lead than he's getting, because he's getting a step and a half off of first base. Conferring with Jose Cardinal.
Two and two. Again, Clement wants to go outside to the Reds catcher, and he misses. I'd be shocked if they sent Casey in this situation as slowly as he runs. But as we saw earlier,
however, he's stolen 3 bases and hasn't been caught, because when he does try to run, it is very surprising.
Was Pete Gray the catcher? It's 3 balls, 2 strikes. Game tied 2-2. He's not going. That's bounced foul out of play and into the seats. Nice crowd here tonight. As you know, baseball attendance is a very big concern. It's been down. Weather's not been good. At times the product in many cities has not been good. This is a marvelous new ballpark. The Reds have a very entertaining offensive team. The Cubs are in town. This is a big Central Division race. It was good to see upper 20, maybe low 30,000 gathering here tonight.
Pretty good crowd, especially on a Monday evening.
3 balls, 2 strikes. LaRue working hard against Clement here. Good at bat for him. And finally Matt subdues him. That's his 6th strikeout of the game. 1 on, 1 out for Castro.
Matt stayed over the top of that slider that time and got very good location and good late break. If he stays over the top, that's what it does. Pretty much unhittable to the right-handers, and he's tightened up the breaking ball considerably from the first inning.
Castro's hit safely in 8 of his last 10 games. And I know you talked to Bob Boone about this man. They have to be delighted with what he's given them.
He says he's one of the reasons for their resurgence.
Driven to right. O'Leary off with the pitch. Makes the play in right center field. A line drive out, and Anderson will hit. Remember, he went the other way with a base hit last time up. 2 outs. Casey at first for Anderson. Don't forget, June 24th, join Steve and me at Harry Carey's downtown. We'll talk some Cubs baseball, give you a great meal, and you'll have a chance to meet Corey Patterson and Cub closer Joe Borowski. Tickets are going fast at $50 a piece. Don't miss out. Call 312-828-0966 or log on to harrycareys.com for more information.
You'll also get a pretty good lunch, which I'm going to be more than happy to partake of.
I know. Anderson skips the rope. They have to go Thursday night. A little reconnaissance mission at Harry Carey's downtown when we get back from the trip.
Well, some food tasting, certainly. That would definitely be in order. Somewhere along the line, whatever he has to do, Matt Clement has to get out of this inning with Jimmy Anderson. Last thing you want to do is bring the next guy to bat.
1 ball, 1 strike.
It is a pleasure to get back into the National League, where
real baseball is played.
We won't see the designated hitter. The Cubs lineup without Sammy Sosa, even with the designated hitter. It's real tough to match up with some of those high-powered American League teams that are built around the designated hitter. But the Cubs have done a pretty good job of it. They're 7-5 against the American League.
They play behind Casey, and Anderson swings and fouls it back. We saw a real good offense in Toronto.
Well, talking with the Red broadcasters, they've seen the same offense, and they think that it's as good an offense as they've seen. Now, they're playing and broadcasting with a club that has a very good offense themselves. But Toronto is a team that's built for offense in their home park. It's built for a team that plays on the artificial surface, so they have some pretty decent speed, and they have a lot of contact hitters. They put the ball in play consistently.
As far as the runs scored, the Reds might be the National League's version of the Toronto Blue Jays. This Cincinnati team, though, doesn't make nearly as much consistent contact. Their pitching staff's somewhat similar. They don't really have a true #1 starter, although Escobar showed he has the potential. Halladay certainly too for Toronto.
But they have a defense that's similar, which isn't very good. They have a pitching staff with a high ERA, and they have a couple of guys that consistently pound the ball. The Reds might have even more power than Toronto,
which is hard to believe. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Anderson is subdued. 7 strikeouts for Clement. He's got a 2-2 game on his hands after 4.
The new 2003 Pontiac Grand Am SE has more power than Jetta GL, more torque, and better fuel efficiency. Our drivers wanted more. Just announced. Get $4,000 cash back on a 2003 Grand Am SE. With cash back, a brand new 2003 Grand Am SE starts around $13,700. See your Chicagoland Pontiac dealer.
Why is Shooter's Chicagoland's favorite buffet? For one, light eaters really appreciate the incredible salad bar, fresh pasta salads, delicious fish, and stir fry. Meat eaters go wild for Shooter's freshly sliced meats, chicken, and dozens of side dishes. Kids get to eat all of their favorite foods. Singles, couples, and families of all sizes love Shooter's buffet. Whether you're a light eater or have a hearty appetite, Shooter's is the affordable choice every day of the week. Harwood Heights, Homewood, and Glendale Heights.
Hey, I just got a new car.
Oh, yeah? Where'd you get it?
Jacob's Twin.
Hey, me too. Man, they have a huge selection. Over 2,000 new cars.
I know. You want a Buick? They got it. You want a Pontiac? They got that too.
Oh, yeah. Ford, Honda, Mazda, Hyundai, they got all those. Yeah, I went there for a used car, and guess what? They have over 300.
And they have some of the lowest prices in town.
Hey.
You always win at Jacob's Twin.
Hey, I also drive a car from Jacob's Twin, but I'm Jeff Jacobs.
Gail Fisher inside the Fox Sports Net studios with this Pontiac in-game update. With the NBA draft coming up next week, there are some doubting Thomases, and Chris Thomas is one of them. The point guard from Notre Dame has decided to withdraw from the NBA draft, and he will return to ND for his junior season. Thomas wasn't guaranteed to be a first-round pick, so he decided he'd better go back to school. Chip and Steve, let's send it back to you.
All right, Gail, thank you very much. Obviously, he might have had a little stage fright about heading to the big show and a chance to pocket that big trough of money, Steve, but those riches, I'm sure, will trickle down sooner or later for him as he matriculates again at Notre Dame. Matt Clement leads off our 5th inning for the Cubs. Game tied 2-2 here in the opening game of a big 4-game set at the Great American Ballpark. Jimmy Anderson, as he always seemingly does against the Cubs, keeps his team in the ball game. Matt Clement overcame some early inning wildness and a real questionable decision by Bob Boone to keep this thing at 2-2.
Clement said he's worked hard on his hitting this year, and he's hoping to have a little better luck. The batting average up over 200 coming into this one. He chopped one high off the plate in the 2nd inning, but couldn't beat it out. Dusty Baker's still looking for some offense. Talking about every game being an agonizingly close game every night. He said just one time we've got to beat somebody 8-1. Just relax a little bit, but that's not the character of this team.
Clement is down on strikes. That's bad news for Nelda Button, who's not suffering from stage fright in Kewanee, Illinois. Nelda is our Toyota fan of the game. If the Cubs score here in the 5th, Nelda wins a Fox Sports Net Toyota prize package, which includes, Steve, a hat and a t-shirt. 2nd strikeout in a row for Anderson, 1 away in the Cub 5th. hits in his last 25 at-bats, but in the third inning, his double turned into the game-tying run. And that's where we stand now at 2-2. Haven't seen much evidence, at least in tonight's ball game, with Clement and Anderson throwing #1 ground balls and #2 striking out men, of the home run friendly nature of this ballpark.
Well, the Cubs don't hit a whole lot of them. The Reds do, so Matt Clement has been able to keep the ball in the ballpark. Chip, we have not welcomed back Ron Santo yet, so we will do that. Welcome him back to the team. Very happy to get here, but nobody happier than his wife Vicky to send him on the road and get him back to the ball club. He missed the series against Montreal and against Toronto.
Out of play foul. We must tell you that Ronnie, as is his custom, he does the pregame interviews on the Cubs radio network. And Ronnie was downstairs interviewing Bobby Hill, and he forgot where he was. Now you're gone a week. You'd think you'd be looking forward to this ball game,
but he knew he was playing the Reds.
Just didn't know where. Must have thought he was in Havana. That's popped up into shallow center. Griffey calls off Larkin. Good communication. And Grunzalonic is retired for round #2.
Well, they did that very well because #1, these two guys have been around a long time. #2, the shortstop has to set up to make the play until he hears the outfielder call him off. And Griffey has a lot of gold gloves to prove that he can really do it in center field. So quickly 2 up, 2 down. And that's 6 in a row retired by Anderson. Somewhat surprisingly, he has been able to do it with essentially 1 pitch, that being a fastball.
Martinez 1 for 2. Singled and reached on an error. And Larkin smothers that at short. He's got another easy inning, this time in the 5th. He's retired 7 straight men. Don't forget, Cincinnati with 17 last at-bat wins. Cubs better get a lead here. It's 2-2 in the 5th.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles.
It's Suzuki Summer Sizzler, and these great deals give you one more reason to get the new bike you've been waiting for. Get up to $400 cash back on select motorcycles. And on approved credit, use your Suzuki credit card for great financing deals, like $25 monthly payments for 9 months, or 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 6 months. There's also great low installment loan APR financing available on all cruisers, sport, and street bikes. These sizzling savings give you one more reason to ride, and the deals won't last long. So get to your Suzuki dealer today.
Hey, where are the things? Tickets. Where are the tickets?
In your shirt pocket.
Cab will be here in a minute. See if the flight's on time.
I'm on it.
Is everything here?
Yeah, everything.
My blue swimsuit? Mm-hmm. Sunscreen?
15 and 30.
Beach towels.
Beach towels, snorkels, flip-flops, camcorder.
Get a new one fast. With Circuit City's Express Pickup, you can order online and pick up in minutes. Circuit City, we're with you.
I'll just keep this up front.
Counting down.
Measuring traffic congestion. Here we go.
Tickets for the Red Boys now on sale. Call now. Pick up the phone. Call now.
One concert could generate hundreds of thousands of calls in an instant. At SBC, if we can handle hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes, we can handle the Rad Boys. Ready for anything.
Hello? Any more tickets?
SBC.
Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Toyota. Get the feeling. Corona Extra. Miles away from the ordinary. And by your Chicagoland Ford stores. If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again.
Top of the Cincinnati order is coming up in the home half of the 5th inning. Dunn, Larkin, and Griffey. Matt Clement gave up 5 hits in the first 2 innings. He's given up only 1 since and has struck out 7 men tonight.
He's starting to get over the top of the slider. That's made all the difference. But now the 3rd time through the order, he might have to change up the game plan somewhat. This is a fairly smart hitting team. Yes, they do strike out, but when you make mistakes, they can hit it about as hard as anybody.
Dunn, one of those men, 22 home runs. That one wouldn't be a home run in a telephone booth. To the 3rd baseman, Martinez in fair ground. And Dunn jumps on the first pitch and pops out. 1 up, 1 down in the 5th.
In the the stands chip tonight. Mia Hamm at the ball game. We all know of her soccer prowess. Apparently does not want to do any interviews for the guys on the Cincinnati Reds side, so maybe she's just shy of shrinking violet.
Well, when you talk to Marty and Joe, they've been here together 30 years on the Reds radio. That is a very intimidating experience, although you handled your interview with the Hall of Famer very well in the pregame show.
It's a pleasure to talk with Marty. Number one, he's seen just about everything there is to see. Number two, he's able to articulate his view of the Cincinnati vision at this point, and he was the guy that was not in favor of making a trade just to bring in a pitcher unless you bring in a couple of them. And it's going to be difficult for Cincinnati to do that, knowing their financial constraints, but also they don't have a real productive system at this point. So the guys that they brought up are the guys they think are going to be stars, and they don't want to move them.
2 balls, no strikes to Barry Larkin. And that one beaten into the ground. Martinez, good play at third, and the off-balance throw against the Reds captain. 2 out.
Third baseman cuts off everything he can, and if he doesn't get this, it's going to be an infield hit. Good play by Ramon as he ranges to his left. One more hop, and this is a base hit. And so with 2 out, nobody on, you're facing Griffey, and that's the way you want to face him.
Griffey has struck out and flied out tonight. Line drive into the left center field gap. Patterson will try to cut it off. He can. It'll roll to the wall, and Junior will coast into second with his 8th double of the year. That was a laser beam.
If Griffey continues to hit like that, he's going to be hard to stop because he's using left center field, and a lot of guys try to keep the ball away from him. Now, Clement wanted to get that one in. You saw where Miller was putting his glove. The spot for Griffey is up and in. He's not getting around on that, so when you miss your spot by a foot or so, usually you pay the price. In this case, it's a 2-base price. Here's a look at Mia Hamm. Big Nomar Garcia-Parra fan. But I don't think that Boston's going to trade him to the Reds anytime soon.
I think you're right.
Although they could probably use him. In fact, there's a few teams who could use him.
He looked pretty good in the Cub uniform. He'd look good in anybody's uniform. Frankly, so does she. Here's Kearns. He struck out and walked. Runner on, 2 outs. Back up the middle. Base hit. Here comes Griffey around third. Patterson loads up, has no play. Another 2-out RBI for the Cincinnati team as Kearns drives in his 57th, and the Reds lead 3-2. Right-handed bats in this ball game are making life tough for Clement tonight. That is uncharacteristic.
The right-handers have all 3 runs batted in, and again, you saw Miller wanting the ball in, and you saw that ball out over the plate. So Matt Clement is what's called wild in the strike zone. Yes, you're throwing strikes. That's the good news. The bad news is if you want to get the ball in, you've got to get it in. Twice he didn't. It cost him the go-ahead run.
Boone drove in a pair in the Cincinnati first. Stop by Miller. 1 ball, no strikes.
Damian's done a nice job because Matt Clement consistently throws that slider into the dirt. That's yielded the 6 wild pitches. He could have easily had a couple more tonight, but for the acrobatics of Damian Miller.
Three runs, 8 hits for Cincinnati. They have a 1-run advantage in the last half of the 5th inning. Reds trying to even up the season series with the Cubs at 4 apiece. Off his thumbs and back to the screen. 1 ball, 1 strike. Elsewhere in the National League, Pudge Rodriguez has hit a home run for the Marlins. They lead the Mets 1-0 in the 7th down in South Florida. Cardinals lead Milwaukee 1-0 in the second. Later on, San Diego is in Colorado, and a tip of the cap to the shooter. Rod Beck picked up a save for San Diego against the White Sox.
Pretty good news. Not for the White Sox, for Rod Beck.
1 ball, 1 strike. That pitch has been called all night by Paul Emmel. It's 1-2.
Well, both pitches, Matt Clement wanted to get inside, and this time he got both of them inside. Now Boone will swing at a lot of sliders low and away. And that's a real good pitch here.
Kearns driven back to first base. Red Sox lead the White Sox 2-0 in the third inning. Sox will face the Cubs at home at Wrigley Field this weekend. Royals over Minnesota 1-0 in the third. KC got a decent performance from Jose Lima, who's back in the big leagues for them yesterday. That pitch again hung up there, and Matt is living dangerously.
Well, that was the hanging slider, and Boone unhappy with himself because when you get a hanger, you don't want to get out in front and yank it foul. That's exactly what he did, and that went whistling into the seats, and I think it might have gotten somebody.
The 1-2 pitch now to Boone won't be made.
Now, just because you hung a slider last pitch doesn't mean that you should go away from it. It's a nice time to go back to it and keep it low and away.
Kearns a short lead. Again, the 1-2 pitch. Miller has been cat-like quick behind the Pentagon tonight. 2-2.
Despite the fact that Cincinnati is 4th from the bottom in batting average, they've scored a whole lot of runs, more than just about anybody around them. 5th in the league. They don't pay off on batting average, they pay off on runs scored, and the Reds have been able to do just that.
It's pretty remarkable they've scored as many as they have, considering they've struck out more than any other team in the league. They don't make very much consistent contact, but when they do, it goes a long way. 3 inside, so Kearns will be moving here with 2 outs.
Eric Karros asking if they want him to play behind Kearns, and the answer, at least at this point, is no. They want him to hold him on.
Three and 2. There goes Kearns, and Boone hits a shot into left field. That'll drop slowly for a hit. Kearns around second, on his way to third. Alou wisely gets it into second base. 3 straight 2-out hits for the Reds.
One of the reasons why that turned into a base hit, Chip, was every fastball in the sequence was thrown in the same spot. He threw 4 of them to Boone. All 4 were inside. Hitters are pretty smart. If they can pick up a pattern, they're going to eventually hurt you. Take a look where the pitch was. It's inside. Now, although Boone shattered his bat, he was able to get the base hit to left field. And so runners at the corners now, 2 outs.
I don't think I've ever heard a pitcher say that hitters are smart. Congratulations.
Some of them are, and especially if they can pick up a pattern. I had a lot of them who were smart because I gave up a lot of hits.
Well, Matt's given up a lot of them tonight, 9 of them in total, but he's only down a run, and Casey now becomes perhaps the pivotal man in this ball game. Casey is 5 for 21 against the Cub right-hander. It hasn't been the left-handed bats that have done the damage against him. It's been the righties. Kearns with an RBI. Boone with 2 hits and 2 runs scored. LaRue a single. Barry Larkin has a hit.
Well, you have to go out there and learn how to win with less than your best. Matt doesn't have his best stuff tonight, and he's still in the ball game.
Tracy jumps on the first pitch, and a slow roller to short retires the side. 1 run, 3 hits. Again, the Reds do damage with 2 outs. They take a 1-run lead into the 6th inning.
Got an old buddy waiting for a visit in Washington? With everyday low fares on Southwest Airlines, flying to BWI is your best route to the capital.
You are now free to move about the country.
Di Serrano Sour, Di Serrano Martini.
Di Serrano on the rocks.
Di Serrano on the rocks. Coming up.
Di Serrano's warm and sensual taste makes you wish it would never end. Di Serrano. Pass the pleasure around.
There's a state where the national pastime is the game of what if. What if all cars were turbocharged? What if innovation were the official currency? Saabs are made in a state of independence, where freedom is held as tightly as the road. Welcome.
The turbocharged Saab 93 linear sports sedan. Available in the state of independence for as low as $299 a month.
Nothing beats the fun and excitement of watching the Cubs in beautiful Wrigley Field. And you can be there. That's right. Tickets are still available for upcoming Cubs games. To get your tickets, just call tickets.com at 1-800-THE-CUBS. Head to the Wrigley Field box office. Punch in www.cubs.com. Or visit any Chicagoland Sears or Sears hardware store. Don't wait. Catch all the Cubs action firsthand and get to the game.
Well, the first 5,000 girls into Wrigley Field will receive an American Girl jersey and cap when the Cubs take on the Milwaukee Brewers Thursday, June 26th. It's a 1:20 start, and there are lots of good tickets available as the Cubs conclude their next modest homestand with Milwaukee. Cubs down a run, and Corey Patterson tries to bunt. Anderson, though, makes a fine play. He's been very active and very effective on the hill.
Would have been a good play if you get it by the pitcher. But unfortunately for Corey, he got this one within range of Jimmy Anderson. And with cat-quick reflexes, he was able to come off the mound and make the play. Cubs have had all kinds of problems with Anderson, and it continues tonight. Even though they've done little damage to him, this is a guy that came in with an 8+ ERA.
Not against the Cubs, though. He's 3 over against us, 20 under against the rest of baseball. And here's Alou. He's bounced out and has walked. Harry used to say the pendulum of percentage has to change at some point.
Usually it was late or in an extra inning game, and he would say the pendulum of percentage swings to the home team if you get the visitors out in the top half of the inning.
What has to worry you, though, is that Cincinnati bullpen. Pretty good. With White from the left side, Reitsma, who's been terrific. You know about Scott Sullivan, who's got that unorthodox submarine delivery. And, of course, Scott Williamson, the closer. There's a drive, belted deep to left, and our game is going to be tied. That one into the second deck. A rocket shot for Alou, home run number 7, and it's a 3-3 game.
That was a no-doubter. Adam Dunn turned around and just watched that one as Moises Alou got every bit of it. So the Cubs tie it up, and what the Cubs are trying to do is get to Anderson before they're able to get to their bullpen and do some damage, perhaps take the lead. Scott Williamson, their closer, has 16 saves, and he's been very effective this year.
Third home run for the Cubs on this road trip. Alou's first since June the 8th when he took Andy Pettit out of the ballpark at home. And the Cubs Cubs have evened the score here in the 6th inning. And another shot hammered center field. Griffey on the run. He's at the warning track. He's at the wall. He leaps up and he can't get it. Back-to-back bombs in the 6th inning, and the Cubs have a lead.
Both Alou and Karros have hit their 7th home runs. Eric has driven home 14 runs, and the Cubs have the lead. They've taken it for the first time tonight, and they've done it against Jimmy Anderson, and hopefully he'll stay in the game long enough for the Cubs to do a little more damage before they go to the pen.
Cubs have gotten to their magic number of 4. They're 29-9 when they get to 4 runs in a game. But you're right, Steve, a few extras in this place would be real nice. Troy O'Leary now is the Cub hitter.
It's only the 2nd time this year the Cubs have hit back-to-back home runs. Gonzalez and Sosa did it earlier.
That was May 1st in San Francisco, and it won't be 3 in a row as Casey will take care of O'Leary for the 2nd out of our 6th inning.
Well, you would think regardless of what happens in this inning, this is going to be it for Jimmy Anderson. Bob Boone would like to see him get through the inning. The Cubs would like to see Gonzalez hit a home run here and at least have a 2-run lead. The wind tunnel here is left center field. The ball just explodes there, and I think Griffey thought he might have had a shot at the Karros blast, and that seemed to just pick up steam as it headed out into the Cincinnati bullpen. A bullpen that's up and going and ready to go if Anderson has any more problems.
Alex, a ground ball to second. That should take care of the Cubs in the 6th. But back-to-back homers for the first time since the 1st of May turns the game around. Cubs lead it 4-3 in the opener in Cincinnati.
Announcing the Ford authorized tent sale going on now at your local Ford store. For a limited time, get huge savings on Ford's best-selling vehicles. Choose 0% financing for 5 years or $3,000 cash back on F-150. Get into a Ranger and choose 0 for 60, or Ford will match your down payment up to $1,000 for a total of $5,000 down. The Ford authorized tent sale happens only once a year, so hurry in for the Ford authorized tent sale. If you haven't looked at Ford lately, look again.
Officially, it's called Jack Daniel's Old Time Old No. 7 brand Quality Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey. But you can ask for Jack.
The biggest new car tent event is going on right now at Rizza Chevy. Now through Saturday, June 21st. Get $3,000 to $12,000 off on over 600 new Chevys, like the new 2003 Cavalier for just $87.95. Or get 0% financing for 60 months or $4,000 cash back. And Rizza Chevy will pay off your trade no matter how much you owe. It's the biggest new Chevy tent event, and it's going on now through Saturday only at Rizza Chevy in Bridgeview.
Buy your Chevrolet from RIDCA. Rizza Chevrolet is the only place to buy.
Despite years of racing stock cars, motorcycles, and dirt bikes, the only ride that truly scared Bill Wilt was the short trip in an ambulance when he had that unbearable pain in his chest.
I thought I was going to die, but the doctors at Gottlieb Hospital pulled me through with a quadruple bypass, and I haven't felt this good in 20 years.
Gottlieb Memorial Hospital's group of heart surgeons perform some 2,000 open heart operations in the Chicago area each year. At Gottlieb, we're bringing quality to life.
After our game, it's Fifth Third Bank Cubs Post. We'll have all the highlights and analysis of tonight's game. Gail Fisher and Dave Otto are sitting by. Don't miss Fifth Third Bank Cubs Post immediately after our game on Fox Sports Net.
Gail should look into that hairstyle. That's a dandy. Have the lead. It's up to Matt Clement now to make it hold up as he heads through the bottom third of the order, and I doubt if Anderson's going to hit for himself.
One never knows, though, as LaRue looks at the ball outside
with the ever unpredictable Bob Boone. He was supposed to manage a team that was going to be very close to where you live if it ever came about.
That's true. First, the 1-0 pitch to Jason LaRue. Back to the screen. Baseball, in my own humble opinion, erred greatly in putting teams in Tampa and South Florida. Orlando at one point was bidding to get one of the first round of expansion teams that eventually went to Denver and Miami. Bob Boone was finishing out his playing career in Kansas City and was named the first ever manager for a team in Orlando that never existed at the time. So Pat Williams, who was then the general manager of the Orlando Magic basketball team, was spearheading an effort to get a team into Central Florida. That, of course, didn't happen. Boone didn't get that job, eventually managed first in Kansas City, and now finds himself here in Cincinnati.
Interesting philosophy. You name a manager of a team that doesn't exist, and
tough to get second guessed that way, Stoney.
Oh, that's true. He might have been very good for the Orlando club.
1 ball and 2 strikes, and LaRue chased a bad ball. Here's where the impatience of the Reds offense plays into the Cubs pitching staff's hand. At least you hope that's the case. Clement has his 8th strikeout. Leadoff man down in the 6th inning.
Well, so far nobody in the on-deck circle, and somebody's going to have to inhabit that on-deck circle.
And it looks like Reggie Taylor is the man that grabs a bat. And Castro will hit. He is 0 for 2. Cub pen starts to work as well.
You have a very effective Cubs bullpen. And Kyle Farnsworth, usually the first man out of the chute. And they've had a pretty good road trip. And they had a wonderful game in Toronto, as the bullpen was pretty much emptied out by Dusty Baker, and every guy threw better than the next. And they were able to beat that team 4-2 in a game that Mark Pryor won, going 5 2/3 innings, turned it over to the pen, and the pen made it hold up. You don't win many games scoring just 4 in that particular ballpark, but the Cubs were able to do it.
You hold Toronto to 12 runs in 3 games in their park too. That's wonderful work. 2 quick strikes to Juan Castro.
The Clement slider has gotten much better as the games moved along. He got hurt on the location with the fastball last inning. He's gone to the slider this inning, and so far he's done a pretty good job of it. So he's in line to win game number 5, but a long way to go yet.
Again, the Reds with 17 last at bat wins, including 8 walk-off victories this season. So again, a 1-run lead. That's wonderful. Let's hope that continues. But if you fail to add on against this team, you're going to have to face the big boppers in the last inning of the game. Sullivan warming for the Reds. He will come into the game. But first, Castro has to protect the plate with 2 strikes in the Cincinnati 6th. 9 o'clock here at the Great American Ballpark.
Last time we saw this team in this ballpark, we saw Brandon Larson, the rookie, at third base. Aaron Boone was at second. When they sent Larson down, they moved Boone back to third, and that necessitated Castro to move in at second base, where he's done by and large a pretty good job for them.
1-2. Nowhere near. It's 2-2. Can't remember the kid the Reds drafted in the June draft this year, but I do know he's a relief pitcher out of Rice University, and they think he might be able to help them at the major league level this season. So they'll have even more pitching flexibility, but they need starters. Fly ball into center. Corey Patterson puts that away. 2 up, 2 down. Don't forget, Steve, June 24th. Join us at Harry Carey's downtown. We'll talk a little Cubs baseball. And we invite you to come on out and meet Corey Patterson and Joe Borowski. $50 per ticket. Reservations can be made by calling 828-0966. Or for more reservations, you can log on to harrycareys.com. Seats are going quickly. We're really excited about a terrific luncheon we've got planned.
Watch out to talk with Matt Clement. And he wants to see if he's okay, and he wants to also give him the game plan a go at Reggie Taylor, who's got blazing speed. One of the things they might be concerned about is the bunt. And so far, Karros isn't that concerned because he's way back at first. I think they're asking if they want him to move up some. So the right side is open if Taylor lays it down, and he is a prolific base stealer if he gets on.
So Anderson's out of the game. 4 runs, 8 hits in 6 innings. He only walked 1, but he struck out 2, and the back-to-back homers in the 6th might have sealed his fate in the game tonight. Cubs lead it 4-3. Taylor batting with 2 outs. What you don't want to do is put this man on and flirt with Dunn and Larkin with 2 outs. Again, all of the Reds' runs have come with 2 outs in this game.
If he does get on, they're probably going to try to steal with him, as he's 5 for 5 in stolen bases.
Back to the screen. Taylor down to his final strike.
Taylor's 7 for 26 as a pinch hitter, and he has hit 1 home run. Pinch hitter most feared on his team is a guy in the lineup today, Adam Dunn. 3 for 4 with 3 home runs and 8 driven in as a pinch hitter.
Wow.
So maybe it's better when he starts.
1-2.
That's always good if you're behind the plate. You love to see that 57-foot fastball. Because you know it's going to bounce off a part of your anatomy. Bear in mind, that's not a slider, folks. That's a fastball. Damian Miller wanted low and away. One of the signs that Matt Clement probably is losing it somewhat. I think if he gets through this inning, they're going to be very happy and maybe call it a day.
2-2. Pitch of decision coming with 2 outs for Taylor. The Reds, like the Cubs, have been very good in close games. The Reds are 16-6 this year in 1-run games played. Cubs are 12-5 in such affairs. And Taylor swings over the top of that. Matt Clement, a 9-strikeout game, and he's got his first 1-2-3 frame of the game. He also has a 1-run lead.
Hank? Matt? Hey, man. How are you? How's it going? Well, this is Cindy, and we just got engaged.
Congratulations. Hank's a great catch. Of course, he was a great catch for 300 lucky ladies back in college, right? Dude, you were the man. Oh, I ran into Cheryl last Friday. Remember her? She's hot. Still asking about you. Just give her a call.
Knowing when to stop is a good thing.
You guys are getting married. That's cool.
If you're looking for the biggest savings event of the year,
Toyota's got it.
if you're looking for the largest selection of the year,
Toyota's got it.
you'll find it all right now at Toyota's tent event.
Toyota's got it.
Go for great customer choice savings on Camry, like 0% financing, 700 customer cash, or great leases. It's your choice of savings on Camry, America's #1 selling car. If you want it, this tent event's got it. Now at your Toyota dealer.
Toyota's got it.
Rejuvenate your 75,000-mile engine with Pennzoil High Mileage Vehicle. The motor oil specially formulated for the needs of your older, wiser vehicle. Pennzoil, we're driving protection.
Get a $7 rebate on a signature service oil change with Pennzoil synthetic or high mileage vehicle motor oils.
Nothing beats fun at the old ballpark, so let the Chicago Cubs make your next corporate or social event a big hit. Choose from our mezzanine suites, the right field group section, the outdoor patio, or the brand new bleacher party area. Call the group sales office at 773-404-CUBS.
Here's a look at our game summary. It's 4-3. The Cubs have the lead. Cincinnati scored early. The Reds have scored late, and they've got a 1-run lead.
Matt Clement has made it hold up, and the back-to-back bombs for just the 2nd time this year put the Cubs on top. That's our 4-game summary. They'd love to add on, and they're going to have to add on against tough right-hander Scott Sullivan with Bobby Hill in the on-deck circle. Sullivan is susceptible to the left-hand hitters, but this year he's 6-0 despite a 5.34 ERA.
Are all those innings pitched the last 3 or 4 years ever going to catch up to this guy?
Well, I think it has somewhat this year, even though he has a good record. That ERA at 5.34 somewhat distorted in that he got off to a terrible start. Now things are going a little bit better for him. It's the appearances on a yearly basis. He appears in excess of 70 games.
There's a start here in the 7th inning. Damian Miller, a 2-hit game. And that is his stroke when he goes the other way. And Matt Clement gets the glad hand. He's got a 1-run lead after 6 innings of work. He struck out 9. He's in line to win his 5th. And now a hearty welcome back for Bobby Hill. Let's see if he can move Miller along here.
Larry Rothschild shakes his hand, and I'm sure Larry went out there and said, look, give me whatever you've got and get out of this inning, because that's going to be it for you. And he struck out Reggie Taylor on one of his best sliders of the night. So he's going to leave with the lead. It'll just depend on how big that lead is, and Bobby Hill, who was hitting the ball pretty well at AAA, getting an opportunity to hit for the first time this year in a Cub uniform.
The .255 batting average doesn't tell the tale of how Hill was swinging it in the last 3 weeks. Jim Hendry, the fine Cub general manager, telling us that these last couple of weeks he's been swinging the bat like he did last September for the Cubs, when everyone thought that Hill was taking the next step to being this team's everyday second baseman. If that's the case, he'll be in good shape and he'll be here for a while. His job very simple: get Miller into scoring position against a tough right-handed pitcher, Scott Sullivan.
Well, I asked him how he felt he fared down there, and he said, look, I got off to a terrible start this year for whatever reason. I left spring training. I wasn't swinging the bat well. No aspect of my game was as good as I wanted it. But when I left, I started to feel more comfortable. The Cubs think that he's got a chance of being a pretty good player before it's over. And the fact that he's a switch hitter is a tremendous benefit.
Out of play for a 1-2 count. Great pitching matchup down in Florida continues. It's the Mets and the Marlins. Tom Glavine pitching for the first time in 10 days. Remember, he had to skip a start for the first time in his career. He's losing to former Cub farmhand Dontrell Willis tonight, 1-0. Pudge Rodriguez has homered for Florida. Willis has given up 1 hit in 8 innings, and he could go to, I think, 5-1 for the Marlins. Remember, the Cubs gave up some of their future for a whole lot of the present. They got Alfonseca, they got Clement from the Marlins for Willis and a couple of others.
The Cubs knew they were giving up a pretty good pitcher, but to get 2 guys back that can help you right now, they had to give up a pitcher of quality, and Willis, a young left-hander, looking awfully good.
Yeah, he could go to 6-1 if he wins that game against New York. Hill takes strike 3, sinking fastball. And Bobby cannot advance Damian Miller. He takes strike 3. And now the Reds look for a double play to escape the top of the 7th.
Now they're going to meet at the mound and talk it over with the middle infield. Hill thought that one was outside. Paul Hamill thought it was good enough. And why at this point would you meet with the middle infield? Well, the question is, who's going to cover second if Grudzielanek hits it right back to you? They want to find out how they're going to work him. And I think they probably have decided it's going to be Castro covering second.
Won't matter. That one all the way to the backstop.
That was a real wild pitch. There was no chance at all for Jason LaRue to make that one. It's a slider swept well wide of the plate and went all the way back to the screen. For Sullivan, the first wild pitch of the year.
So an RBI chance for Grudzielanek. An off-speed pitch dances in. ball, 1 strike.
Remember, the best arm in the outfield by far in right field with Austin Kearns.
You have a catcher running at second base. Ball's hit right at him. A test for Wendell Kim, who's not shy about sending guys home. A breaking ball, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cubs lead it 4-3. Back-to-back homers in the 6th off the bats of Alou and Karros. Turned a 3-2 deficit into a 1-run lead late.
Good base runners at second will tell you that they'll take a look and find out where all the outfielders are setting up. And they'll know where the ball is hit if they can score or not.
Did he go? He went. 2 outs. So after a leadoff single, Hill and Brunzalonic cannot move Miller in. It'll take a Cub 2-out hit to plate him off the bat of Martinez.
This ball was up and out of the strike zone. The appeal to Joe West, and he said he did go around. Watch it again. I think the bat might have drifted a little too far, and certainly it was far enough for Joe West.
So Martinez the hitter. And that one yanked foul into the seats.
Ramon's been on twice tonight, once by air, once by base hit. Normally, if he does get a hit, he's going to get it to left field.
Lead Milwaukee 3-0 in the 4th inning. Houston idle tonight. And the count 2-1 to Martinez.
At one time, Cincinnati was entertaining the idea of trading either Sullivan or White because it looked like they were going to drop out of the race. And both of them make pretty good salary, but as it turned out, they're part of a pretty good bullpen and a resurgent Red team that finds them just 3 back.
2-2. Houston will host Arizona at home. Series beginning tomorrow.
That's really a banged up Arizona team. They just put Junior Spivey on the disabled list. And that was one of the healthier members of the Diamondbacks.
Got so bad for him that first base coach Robin Yount got hurt helping Spivey off the field when he sprained his ankle. 2-2 pitch. How about the Cubs? Miller gets a leadoff single. Hill, Brunzalonic, and Martinez strike out in succession. Time to stretch. Cubs lead it by a run.
After spicing up the available sound of the 2003 Cavalier, Chevy went to work on America's music.
Man, I know it's the blues, but why so sad? I think we ought to pep this up a little bit. Dig this.
Maybe we'll stick to what we do best. Now get 0% APR financing for 60 months or $4,000 cash back on Cavalier. See your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers today.
Comedy Central took a 20-something comedy writer. His name? Adam. Added a Hollywood icon who's been in over 100 movies, Gary Busey, and gave them their own show.
Catch. No. Whoa, whoa. You shot yourself in the leg?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ripped now.
This is going to be fun.
Come on, somewhere between reality and insanity. I'm with Busey. Premieres tomorrow, June 17th at 10, only on Comedy Central.
Jack says he can bring more food.
Yeah, we got plenty of food.
Says he can bring more ice.
All set there, too.
Says he can bring more mics.
Tell him, mi casa es su casa.
No matter what you're up to, a hard mic's is good to find.
Mind if I use your grill?
Sure.
It's long distance.
No problem.
Metra's making your summer travel easier and more economical because now through Labor Day, our popular weekend family fares are good on weekdays too.
Welcome back to Cincinnati, everybody. Big 4-game series starting tonight. Steve Stone, Chip Carey, and we've seen very good pitching tonight. And thankfully, the Cubs bats came to life. Back-to-back homers give them a 1-run lead.
That's going to be up to Kyle Farnsworth, and he's had some problems with some of these Reds as they head to the top of their order. But the Farns been throwing pretty well, and hopefully tonight more the same. This is a very lively ballpark, but the Cub pitching staff on this road trip has been good.
Bullpen especially, and we'll see if Kyle can continue that good work. He's got a tough task ahead of him. 1, 2, and 3 coming up for Cincinnati now.
There you look at the numbers. On for the 32nd time. Opponents hitting just 185. Now the one guy in this lineup that's really hurt him is Sean Casey. But he's hitting 6th in the lineup tonight, and hopefully it won't get to that as Kyle will start at the top with the not prototypical leadoff hitter Adam Dunn.
Dunn, Larkin, and Griffey coming up, and we'd like to welcome our affiliate belatedly, our friends at Comcast and their viewers in Valparaiso, Indiana. Hey, hopefully the dandy little glove man, Mickey Morandini, is watching tonight in Valparaiso, Indiana. 1-run game for Dunn. 22 home runs, leads the National League. He singled and scored in the first. Way outside for ball 1. 31 innings for Farnsworth, 39 strikeouts, only 20 hits allowed. And a terrific 261 earned run average. Now trying to rebound from a disappointing campaign last year. This is with ball 2. You don't want to start walking guys in this park late.
He's also had some problems with Barry Larkin, and he's in the on-deck circle. Healthy and ready to go, and he has a stolen base tonight to show that his legs are okay.
It's a final from Florida. Dontrell Willis, a 1-hit shutout of the Mets. 1-0 the final. He beats Tom Glavine to run his record to 6-1 tonight. Cut and a miss. 2-2 to Dunn. Who told me before the game guys have been getting him out consistently on the outer edge of the plate.
He's not going to hit that slider low and in if Farnsworth gets it there. And Kyle's worked pretty hard on that slider. It's been a good pitch for him.
There's the pitch out and away. He takes strike 3 called. Dunn is down. Cubs pitchers have struck out 10 men tonight. 1 away.
Damian Miller wants it outside, and Kyle Farnsworth gets it right there. Unhittable, but very callable.
And it's up to Dunn to make the adjustment. Those close pitches are getting rung up, and Barry Bonds told us the same thing, as did Sammy Sosa at the start of May when we were out west. When in doubt, it's going to be called.
Well, Dunn's been a prolific pull hitter, and when you do that all the time, you're going to see a whole lot of pitches away. And if you see him in, usually see him in off the plate.
So beware of Barry Larkin. He's down a strike. Larkin 1 for 3 in the game, and he's in an 0-2 hole. Farnsworth coming in, throwing laser beams tonight.
Hopefully Cal getting more confidence, because that's the only thing that's kept him from starring.
Little roller back to the mound. Farnsworth bare hand stab, throws to first, and Karros with a stretch. And quickly 2 men are out. Here's Griffey.
Cubs haven't had any long losing streaks, and one of the reasons is superlative pitching both in the rotation and in the bullpen. Farnsworth does a good job here. He feels with the speed of Larkin, he has to barehand it. He's able to corral it and get it over to first base.
So beware of Junior. He gets fastball middle in. He's not afraid to jump on the first pitch. He does does jump on the first pitch, and they'll test Farnsworth again, and he has a very easy bottom of the 7th inning. Griffey looking for the heat, got something off speed instead, and we go to the 8th. Cubs still leading by a run.
The car, park the car. In the Harvard. In Harvard, yeah.
Dollar. Tonic.
Boston Tea Patty. Patty.
I need $1 for a tonic.
Y'all want to get some chowder? Chowder.
The concert was wicked hardcore.
The concert was wicked hardcore.
Getting ready to go to Boston? Now there's a better way to get there.
Give me 2 lobsters and some steamers.
You are now free to move about the country.
Come on in, Derek. I thought we discussed this thing and had it all worked out. You're our starting shortstop. How can you possibly afford to spend 2 nights dancing, 2 nights eating out, and 3 nights just carousing with your friends? Oh.
If you want to enjoy the New York nightlife, bring your Visa card, because Orso, Cheetah, and the Broom Street Bar don't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Made Jack Daniel's whiskey the way Jack Daniel himself prescribed back in 1866. And just one sip will tell you why. We always will. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey.
No one will ever just remember your name. No one will instantly make you their hero. No one will automatically give you respect just because you show up. You have to earn it.
Comcast, proud to be Chicagoland's new cable company.
Steve super pitching, clutch hitting, and some dandy glove work results in our Pennzoil protection play.
Cubs have had good defense tonight. This is part of it. Ramon Martinez retiring Barry Larkin, ranging far to his left. And he's our Pennzoil protection play of the game.
Corey Patterson, Moises Alou, and Eric Karros are coming up. Corey pops the first pitch up. Boone in foul ground. Has a whole lot of room. Oh, that one almost popped out of the palm. But he makes the grab. 1 up, 1 down for Alou. And we want to wish a very happy birthday to that man, Kerry Wood, 26 years young today. And at one of life's little coincidences, it's also the anniversary of Bob Albrecht's discharge from the Army.
One of his best discharges ever, I'm sure. And Kerry Wood just starting to move into his prime. They talk about pitchers getting better as they get into their late 20s. And I'm sure Kerry Wood's best years are ahead of him. Unlike you and I, whose best years are behind us.
No question about it. I wonder with Albrecht, was it an honorable or dishonorable discharge? One can only imagine. Here's Alou, 1 for 2 tonight. A home run tied the game back in the 6th inning.
Probably very necessary and needed. Escort out of the service, but he did protect our shores, because if I remember in those years, nobody came and invaded the country.
The Iron Curtain was going up. Tapped foul past third. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Back-to-back home runs by Alou and Karros have made the difference in this one. And now it's up to the bullpen to make it hold up.
Zambrano, Wood, and Pryor to follow in this 4-game series. And a sharply hit ball to Larkin. It stayed down on the carpet for him. And the stretch at first by Casey is out number 2. Eric Karros, the hitter. He's 1 for 3 with a homer. Cub bullpen is working. Might be 1 and done for Farnsworth here tonight. Is Antonio Alfonseca, who is up and throwing.
Last time he threw in Toronto, he had as good a stuff as he's had all year. So they were happy with his performance, and hopefully he can act as the guy that hands off the baton to Joe Borowski and put a capper on this one.
Out of play for a strike.
Going to be a tough inning next inning, because you have to deal with, I think, the best hitter on this team in Kearns, along with Boone and Casey. So it doesn't get any easier as you move through the middle of the red lineup. With Eric Karros playing every day, you'd have to say he's done a terrific job in the absence of Hee-Sop Choi.
I was joking with Eric in Toronto, asking about the turf. He said it's pretty spongy. I said, well, is it spongy enough for you not to feel like your back is killing you? He said, I wouldn't go that far. But you're right. He's been pressed into everyday service and has been just terrific. A fly ball to right. That's going to be caught. The Cubs will be happy to welcome Hee-Sop Choi back, hopefully soon after a minor league rehab. 3 up, 3 down in the 8th. Cubs lead by a run.
It out-accelerated Honda Accord in the quarter mile. It out-handled Audi A6 in the slalom. On the road course, it surpassed 14 other sports sedans with flying colors. Introducing the 2004 Grand Prix Comp G, the best performing sports sedan in its class. Go to Pontiac.com for details. Then get price information and take a test drive. See your Chicagoland Pontiac dealer.
There's an easier way to get to the All-Star Game. Subway's Eat Fresh and Win $1 Million Scratch Card Game. You can win a trip to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game or the grand prize of $1 million. Stop by Subway today for our selection of fresh baked bread, fresh ingredients, delicious deli-style meats, and a free game card. Subway, eat fresh.
Grace.
Edward.
Your eyes sparkle like halogen headlamps.
Only when I look at you.
There's something about you. Your hair, your smile.
Your sticker price.
Now get 0% APR for 60 months on every 2003 Chevy Malibu and Impala. Or get $3,000 cash back.
Oh, Edward.
Take me to your leader.
That's dealer, Chevy dealer.
Chevy dealer.
Gail Fisher here inside the Fox Sports Net studios with this in-game update. And the Red Sox are visiting the White Sox on the south side. Pedro Martinez in a jam, bases loaded in the 6th inning. Oh, gets Frank Thomas to strike out, looking on the full count, and Pedro staring down the big hurt. Right now, the Red Sox still lead it 2-1. Chip and Steve?
Hi, Gail. Thank you very much. So Red Sox fans are like the French when Lindbergh landed. They lead 2-1, and the White Sox offense continues to have its problems. A trend, Steve, we hope continues this coming weekend.
Pedro Martinez is a tough assignment, and he's a lot healthier. And so is Antonio Alfonseca on for the 22nd time. The ERA very respectable at 3.38. He looked pretty good in Toronto, and he's got to go right through the heart of the order. He's been throwing a lot of inside fastballs. You got to be careful to Kearns. If you're going to go in there, get it in.
An RBI single for Kearns last time up, and there is that inside pitch, and it dances in for a called strike. Kearns 1 for 2 with a walk. Very big play in the 2nd inning of this game made by Bob Boone. We talked about it at the time. They ran with Jimmy Anderson and Dunn in the batter's box. The Cubs allowed Anderson to reach 2nd on the play. LaRue tried to score, and they tried to steal a run. He was thrown out on a run down between 3rd and the plate. That ended the inning. Reds have only played it 1 run since.
Well, interesting choice of offensive strategy in that you just called a pitcher up, and you decide to send him with no chance of him making it to second base, and you have a catcher at 3rd trying to score, and he was thrown out easily in a rundown as the Cubs defense executed perfectly.
1-2 to Kearns. That bullpen gets busy. Rietsma is up. He's thrown well in the bullpen. He's not had as much success as a starter, but they think this kid eventually might turn out to be a pretty good closer for them. He's got mid-90s heat.
He throws a lot harder out of the pen than he does in the rotation.
Broken back to the mound. There's a break. And Kern's trying to get out of the way. He is retired. That's 3 straight Reds batters that have bounced back to the mound.
But that wasn't voluntary. That was a high, tight fastball. Unfortunately for the Cubs, this one stayed in play. He tried to check his swing and was able to do nothing with it, so that's a very good hitter retired. And Antonio's stuff is starting to have a lot of movement.
Here's Boone. He's 2 out of 3 with a couple of RBIs, and that one rolled foul at third.
Dave Tumbas drops that in the Cub dugout. Had a shot at it. Could have caught it cleanly. But instead, he's charged with the air.
Well, Sandy Crump, a much better fielder than Dave Tumbas.
He plays people a lot lower, though. There's a look at Dave.
And the dirt. Maybe it's those fancy new eyeglasses that Sandy is sporting these days.
Could very well be. Boone's had a pretty good night, and he's had, by and large, a very good year.
Boone down to his last strike. Sign of a good team is one that A gets the lead and then B mows down the opposition late. The Reds have had 8 consecutive men retired in this game.
Well, the Cubs of 2003 are a team that's going to do it with their pitching staff. They're going to get occasionally an offensive outburst. It's not going to happen all that often, but what's happened when they've won ball games on this trip, they've played real solid defense. And tonight, no exception. They've made a couple of real good plays so far. You'd have to figure with Alfonseca probably going to stay inside to Boone here, that if anything, he's going to pull it. With that in mind, Martinez is deep and over toward the line at third. And Gonzalez playing maybe a step in the hole, but there is some room on the left side to give up the single, but not the double.
Tim Foley shows Dave Tumbas how you make a one-handed catch. And Boone lives to swing again. Mike Matheny and J.D. Drew have homered for St. Louis tonight. They now lead the Brewers 4-1 in the 5th inning. That's the opener of a long series between the Cardinals and Brewers at Miller Park tonight. 2-2. It's full.
We'd like the Brewers to show the Cardinals a little bit of that offense in that park, and so far they've been unable to do it.
Big pitch in this game right here. 3-2 to Boone. And he got it. 11 Reds have been struck out. Again, we told you they whiff more than anybody else. 578 times this season, and they're on a pace for a team record 1,300 plus.
You see the movement of that fastball. It moved down, it moved in, and you got a pretty good hitter mystified by the movement on the Alfonseca fastball. We do have one secret weapon on the bench, and it's Jose Guillen, who's had a miraculous year. In fact, so much so, Chip, that Bob Boone is having a hard time putting him in the lineup, but it's hard to keep him out of the lineup when you take a look at the numbers that he's put up.
11 home runs, 150 some out of bats,
and a .335 batting average.
A lot of corner outfielders on this team, and not enough corners in which to play them. And frankly, we've talked about it. Griffey probably should be a corner man just to protect himself from the reckless abandon with which he plays center field.
It's real hard to convince a superstar, though, that it's time to move over. It's been very hard to convince Barry Larkin that it might be time to look at a different position to prolong his career. You don't find many late 30 middle infielders around.
2 strikes. Ground ball to short. Alex handles, and we head to the 9th inning. The Cubs look for some insurance. The bullpen continues to sparkle on the road. It's 4-3 Cubs after 8.
The Hyundai Santa Fe, a comparison. More standard features than a Ford Escape XLS, all for over $1,400 less when comparably equipped. And only the Santa Fe is protected by America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Looks like we have a winner. Test drive the Hyundai Santa Fe, nicely equipped for just $17,634 at your Hyundai dealer. Hurry in for the Santa Fe Triple Play and get $1,000 cash back or a $199 a month lease or 0% APR through June 30th.
Not too close. What do you think? I got that insurance?
What insurance is that, Yogi?
The one you really need to have. If you don't have it, that's why you need it.
Need what?
Well, if you get hurt and miss work, it won't hurt to miss work. And they give you cash, which is just as good as money.
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
This exciting Cubs finish is brought to you by New Finish, the once-a-year car polish. Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Southwest Airlines. More than 2,700 nonstop daily flights to 59 destinations all across the country. Hyundai. When your car comes with America's best warranty, you win. Hyundai. Comcast. Proud to be Chicagoland's new cable company. And by your Chicagoland Pontiac dealers.
It's 4-3. Cubs looking for some insurance, and they'll have to do it against the third red pitcher of the night. As Guillen checks in, he'll hit 9th in the order. And Chris Rietsma is in for Cincinnati. Dunn moves to first base. Casey out of the game.
Rietsma at 6-2. The ERA 5.55. On for the 16th time. 3 of them starts. What he's been able to do out of the bullpen is throw a bit harder than he did as a starting pitcher, and they think that's where his future is going to be.
Sullivan worked 2 innings of 1-hit baseball and a high pop off the bat of O'Leary. Ken Griffey Jr. with a house full of gold gloves makes the play. 1 up, 1 down.
What makes these teams fairly similar is that both teams, if they get the lead late, have a bullpen that can make it hold up. The Cubs bullpen tonight has been terrific. It's been Farnsworth, Alfonseca, and Joe Borowski will come into this. And Sullivan and now Rietsma for the Reds have held it exactly where the starters left it at 4-3. Cubs would dearly love an insurance run because of the thunder in this Reds lineup.
And all those last at-bat wins that the Reds have garnered this season. Gonzalez the hitter. Alex 1 for 3. Picked up hit number 991 back in the 2nd inning tonight. Cubs again have gotten 4 runs. They get 4. They're tough to beat. Playing over 750 baseball when they do that this year. That's very impressive.
What a big game this is, the first of a 4-game series. You win this one on the road, it puts you over 500 for the road trip. It ensures that through 7 games of what you knew would be a tough 10-game trip, you're going to gain ground on the rest of the division. You push the Reds 1 game further back.
Houston a half game back again.
So this was one of the key games of the trip. You came out of Baltimore, you came out of Toronto, you were 3-3. You knew you had to use a designated hitter in both places without Sammy Sosa in the lineup, knowing you'd be underpowered against some teams that were fairly good offensive teams in their park. So far so good, and this becomes a huge game in the series because after this one you've got your 3 horses going pretty much. You've got Zambrano, you have Woody, and you have Pryor. And that's really where you want to be in a situation where you can not really eliminate a team, but push them so far back that maybe it gets a little more difficult, especially when they have to climb over 3 teams in front of them, and that's the story with the Reds at this point.
2-hit night for Damian Miller with an RBI this evening. Double play ball, though, to short. Larkin had a little trouble, but that's a tailor-made double play. Reitsma pitches out of a mini jam in the ninth, and the Reds come up for their final turn. Joe Borowski, you figure, will come on and try to nail it down in the ninth inning.
Your old windows giving you a workout? Replacing them is as easy as calling 1-866-4-FELDCO. All Feldco replacement windows are custom made and custom installed, always at a great price. 100,000 customers like our style. Tired of wrestling windows?
I'll take the phone now.
Call 1-866-4-FELDCO for a free estimate. Feldco replacement windows. Showrooms north and south.
Introducing Rain-X Car Wax. The same transparent polymer technology that makes our windshield treatment so effective now keeps your whole car protected from rain, dirt, UV rays, and more. There's almost nothing Rain-X Wax won't protect your car from. Almost. New Rain-X Car Wax. Protection you can see.
Comedy Central took a 20-something comedy writer. His name? Adam. Added a Hollywood icon who's been in over 100 movies, Gary Busey, and gave them their own show.
Catch. No. Whoa, whoa. You shot yourself in the leg?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's written out.
This is going to be fun.
Come on. Somewhere between reality and insanity. I'm with Busey. Premieres tomorrow, June 17th at 10, only on Comedy Central.
Our producer of Cubs Baseball on Fox Sports Net is Bob Albrecht. Tonight's game directed by Dave Turner. Our associate producer is Joe Corneo. Our production manager, Moheen Ramsey. Thanks for the shirts, Moheen. Josh Wine is our executive producer. And our vice president of programming is Don Graham. Well, sometimes you find closers, sometimes they find you. And Joe Borowski has turned into quite a find for the Cubs. He's going for his 14th save. He's saved 7 in a row. And many times, Stoney, a closer has a 3-run lead and picks up a cupcake. Of those 7 saves, 6 of them have been with a 1-run lead for that man.
It's the toughest save in the world on the road with a 1-run lead. And that's what Joe is faced with here as he comes on for the 32nd time. The ERA at 2.20. You don't want your closer to have a lot of wins. Joe has one of them. The reason is that he's looking for the 14th save. And he'll start it out with Jason LaRue, who has surprising power.
He's 1 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts tonight, and the key for any closer, especially one like Joe who doesn't have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, is the ability to not walk people. Joe has walked 8 men in 32 2/3 innings this year. And a little roller hit to the left side. Alex had better hurry. LaRue runs okay for a catcher. Low throw, and Karros digs it out. 1 man down.
Well, Eric Karros has been terrific on digging balls out of the dirt. That play could turn out to be a game saver. Off-balance throw by Gonzalez. He did what he had to do. He charged it, got it on the short hop, fired it across, and Karros scoops it out. The good call by Joe West. He's out at first base. This is a terrific play and a key first out. So now they're going to go to the bench.
Russell Branyan.
And he's got some good numbers against Borowski. So Castro will be taken down, but the all-important first out, that one could have easily seen LaRue at second base if the ball flattened out and got by Karros.
Cubs defensively over at first base with Choi and Karros have had very, very good performances this year, and that, again, as you said, might be the game saver. Here's Branyan. Branyan, I believe, was hurt the last time we saw this Cincinnati team, and like many of their hitters, he's an all-or-nothing guy.
He's 2 for 3 lifetime against Borowski. I'm sure he hasn't faced him in a while. Branyan has unbelievable power.
He's 0 for 4 this year as a pinch hitter.
He'll strike out an awful lot. When he makes contact, he can hit it as far as Adam Dunn. And he came up with the Cleveland Indians. Just another one of the offensive players that the Indians traded away.
Swing and a monster fly ball. Look at that one going to the upper deck. I think he was a little early on that swing. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Branyan has an uppercut swing. He loves low fastballs. He has a hard time hitting the ball up. If you can throw it letter high, you can throw it right by him, especially if you can keep it on the inner portion. Now, Borowski has lived and died this year with that backdoor slider. He does keep it up, and he keeps it away from the lefties.
That time too far outside. 2 balls and a strike to Branyan, who was hurt at the start of the year, was reinstated May 29th, recovering from a torn labrum in his front shoulder, the right shoulder. That one dances in beautifully, and he couldn't pull the trigger. 2-2.
Well, you'd love to see Joe throw something up. We'd prefer it on the inner portion. He'll be able to throw it by him. I think he's going to go to that backdoor slider, however.
The 2-2 pitch. It's low. Ball 3. Ian waiting next. Then Dunn on deck. Both the Cubs and Reds have been great in 1-run games.
They'll look in. Tell you what he's going to throw as soon as he hangs the sign, and so far he hasn't been doing it because Branyan has stepped out. That's the fastball away. Keep it up and you got it.
He got it. 2 outs. 12 Reds have been struck out by the Cubs staff tonight.
Joe Borowski continues to mesmerize opposing hitters. On the outer portion of the plate, he got it down probably lower than he wanted, but it certainly was effective. And now a resurgent Jose Guillen, who's had an opportunity with 3 or 4 teams to win an everyday job. He has been complaining here vociferously that he needs more playing time. Look at those numbers in relatively few at-bats. When he plays every day, he can be a huge factor. He is against the Cubs this year. As a pinch hitter, he hasn't had that many opportunities.
He's the final Cincinnati hope, and he lashes that ball foul for a strike.
Hasn't hit a home run yet as a pinch hitter. 5 for 16. The Cubs are hoping that sitting on the bench all night and playing just 1 inning defensively hasn't loosened him up enough. Joe 1 out away from save number 14. The Cubs would go 4-3 on the road trip.
1 ball, 1 strike to Guillen. Adam Dunn, a left-hand slugger, waits on deck. The Cubs would just as soon face him tomorrow in the 2nd game of this series. The Reds have out hit the Cubs 9-8. But the Cubs lead where it counts 4-3. And now Cincinnati down to their final strike.
Things that kept Guillen from an everyday job. You don't have to throw him a strike.
One and 2. Line drive up the middle. Alex can't get it, and the Reds have another life.
Gonzalez trying to corral that one, saw the ball hit off his glove, and now it brings the league's home run leader representing the winning run. This ball right back up the middle. That ball off the plate. Good coverage by Guillen. And the Reds stay alive.
Ball 1. The steam rising out of the smokestacks in right center. Done with prodigious power. The right field line just 325 away. The 1-0 missed Just outside, ball 2. Cub killer Barry Larkin waiting next. And this crowd of 28,669 not wanting it to end quite yet. Although if Dunn hits one out, it will.
Well, the question, if you're Bob Boone, do you give your number 1 home run hitter the 3-0 green light? I would think you would. Give him an opportunity to win it with one swing if Joe gets close with the 3-0 pitch. Keep the ball away.
Too far away. Tying run in scoring position, and now you do have to face Larkin. First a visit from Larry Rothschild, and Cub fans know what this man has done to the Cubs over the years. You did not want to face him. You will have to in the 9th in a game-tying or game-winning situation for the Reds.
One of the big advantages here for the Cubs, if there is one, is Guillen does not have blazing speed at second base. Tim Foley's going out to talk with him as everybody in the infield on the mound to listen to Larry Rothschild talk to Joe Borowski about where he wants to throw Larkin. Barry Larkin 2 for 3 lifetime against Joe Borowski. One of them a home run.
Again, Cincinnati takes it to the last at bat. 17 wins in their final at bat, and now Guillen, I think, is going to be taken down, and Ray Olmedo might come on and pinch run.
Will not possess the great speed. They are putting the tying run on second base with a little more speed. In fact, a whole lot more speed, and Guillen is taken down. So he did his job. He kept the game alive, and Olmedo comes in, and now the break that you had doesn't exist because he will score on a base hit.
Larkin in the box is 1 for 4. Goes from bad to worse. If you don't get Larkin and the game continues, it's a righty-lefty matchup with Griffey on deck.
Larry now calling the bullpen to get the lefty up for Griffey.
Ooh, what a cut Larkin had there. Wow, 1 ball, 1 strike. He was right on that pitch.
That fastball had a little too much of the plate, and fortunately Barry Larkin, just coming back to play every day, fouled it straight back. That means he was on it, but just missed it.
He's an 11-time All-Star. Reds are hoping he can come through here. In the dirt, 2 balls and a strike.
And Mike Remlinger getting loosened up in a hurry. Fortunately, relief pitchers can get loosened in a hurry, and the call went to the pen.
Did he go?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Larkin thought he held up, and boy, that's a big call. It's 2-2 now.
When Barry Larkin was in his prime, he would consistently go to right and right center field in RBI situations. One of the things that made him a perennial All-Star was his ability to do that. He pulls off this one, can't check his swing, and the Cubs now 1 strike away from ending it.
What a ball game in Cincinnati. The 2-2 pitch to Larkin. He struck him out, and the Cubs win it. Wow, how about Joe Borowski? Another nail-biting save in the 9th inning. The Cubs beat the Reds with another 1-run effort. The pitching continues to sparkle in 3 very hitter-friendly parks, and the Cubs over 500 on the road trip. 4-3 the final.
Well, hopefully Dusty has enough rollates to make it through this road trip, because every game has been a nail-biter. It was the back-to-back home runs that put the Cubs on top. It was the bullpen that kept them there. Clement gets the win, but with a whole lot of assists from Farnsworth, Alfonseca, and then Borowski. The same pitch he got him on strike 2. He throws by him on strike 3, and Matt Clement, our Hyundai player of the game, corralling his 5th win. And what a job the bullpen has done, not only on this road trip, but this entire year. Clement with 9 strikeouts, pitched long enough for his offense to come and get him, and the defense and the bullpen made it hold up.
So the Cubs beat the Reds, Gale, 4-3. Dusty Baker was joking with us before the game. It sure would be nice to get 8 or 9. Well, they might get 8 or 9. It just might take them 3 games to do it. But they'll take this one into the clubhouse, a 4-3 winner, and they'll gain ground on virtually everyone in the division as a result. What's coming up in the postgame for you?
Well, Chip, we'll see if Dusty Baker needs his Rolaids because he's going to stop by and chat with us. We'll get his thoughts on this ball game. Also, the Mets go fishing. We've got New York and Florida highlights, and we'll check out the third baseman who the Cubs may want to acquire. And the Big Z got caught up in a rain delay his last outing. He'll try to go the distance tomorrow. In Game 2 of this series, we'll look at the mound matchup. But first, Chip, let's send it back to you.
All right, Gail, thank you very much. This was a Super Ball game. Cubs win it 4-3. Matt Clement beats Anderson. Joe Borowski, his 14th save. He's saved 8 in a row now, 7 of the 8 of the one-run variety. The guy is just fearless, and it's a joy to watch him. Cubs win the opener of the series. They'll have Zambrano, Wood, and Pryor to follow in the next 3 games, and they'll maintain their hold on first place, a game and a half over the Astros entering play tomorrow. For Steve Stone and our entire crew, Chip Carey from Cincinnati. Good night, everybody.
The Lexus ES, highest ranked entry luxury sedan in initial quality by JD.
Tuesday, July 8th.
I have nothing to say to you. Go away.
I will. With pleasure after we talk.
The rest of the lineup around